flags, the jumps, the kicks. B-ball, hardball, softball, sticks, the blood, the sweat, the art, the smart, the brains, the boss, the soul and heart. News and views, scores and scores. Legends, losers, rivals, myths, the balls, the victories, and the hits. Introducing college sports television. Never before have so many college sports been jammed into one network. College sports television, #1 in college sports.
The USCHO Game of the Week is the first ever national internet broadcast for women's college hockey. It is also individually funded. That's why the Game of the Week needs your support to maintain and expand its coverage. For more information on how to contribute, please call 212-933-0652 or send an email to uschobroadcast@yahoo.com. That's 212-933-0652 or uschobroadcast@yahoo.com. Playoff excitement is in the air, even though we're still a week away from the commencement of the 2007 postseason. But here at Hobey Baker Rink, things have already begun in earnest. And who would have known way back in the summertime when we scheduled Colgate and Princeton for Friday, February 16th? I think we knew we'd be getting a competitive game. Little did we know we'd be getting a game that could very well decide the final home ice spot in the ECAC quarterfinals for the upcoming postseason. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to USCHO Game of the Week. I'm Brian Schultz. He is the guru of women's hockey at US College Hockey Online, David DeReamer. And Dave, a lot of ramifications to this matchup. These teams have had a lot of close games in the past, so maybe it's fitting that they be neck and neck in the standings come the final weekend of the season. I'm going to let you break it down right at the top. Just run down quickly some tiebreaker scenarios. What needs to happen to sort out who gets that final home ice position in the ECAC quarterfinals?
Yeah, well, right now, these teams, for a couple weeks now, it's looked like this game was going to decide this fourth place spot, and we couldn't have picked a much better game to have on this day. During the last week, both teams are even. Both teams pulled off some points that a lot of people probably didn't expect. Colgate taking 2 from Harvard, Princeton taking 1 from St. Lawrence, giving Colgate a 1-point edge going into this final weekend. Now, if Colgate wins this game, clearly this is done. Colgate is ahead by 3 points with 1 game to play. They have it wrapped up. If Princeton wins, then they kind of have the inside track going down because they've already beaten Colgate once this season. So they have the edge there. So pretty much as long as these teams are tied, Princeton's going to have the edge. If Colgate wins this game, they don't end up being tied, then so if Colgate ties this game and then manages to lose next week tomorrow, and then Princeton wins against Cornell and they're tied, and Princeton will have the tiebreaker edge. But Colgate can pretty much secure things today with a win.
So there it is, Colgate at 13-6-1. They are currently 4th in the ECAC Hockey League. Princeton just 1 point behind, 12-6-2. And as Dave alluded to, these two teams come in with some confidence. You look at Colgate's last outing, it was senior day up at Star Rink. They picked a heck of a time to get their program's first ever win against the Harvard Crimson.
Yeah, I mean, Colgate, they've been stuck in 7th place year after year since, the first season in Division I, they finished 8th. Then after that, it was like 3 straight years of 7th place finishes. Now this team's finally headed for a 4th or 5th place and maybe their first home ice spot ever in the UCSC tournament. The way they've done it's not solely by doing better against the Clarksons and Browns and Yales of the league. It's by getting wins over St. Lawrence, Harvard, and Dartmouth. And there aren't too many UCSC teams that have gotten wins over St. Lawrence, Harvard, and Dartmouth in one season.
In fact, if Colgate was to win tonight, they would be, along with the Big Green of Dartmouth, the only team in the ECAC Hockey League to beat every other team in the ECAC Hockey League this season. For Princeton, Dave, this is a team that has been in search of consistency, and they picked a very unlikely place to find it, the North Country, 3 points last weekend.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, last time we saw this team on this program, they were undefeated and off to their best start ever, but then, hit a little snag since then. So 8-0-2 start, 6-10-1 after that. But then yeah, this past week went over Clarkson and a tie against St. Lawrence, where they're actually up 2-1 at one point. Then fell behind 3-2 in the third period. Big contributor for them was freshman Melanie Wallace, who had a goal and assist in both games, including the first goal against Clarkson, and then the dramatic power play game tying goal in the third period against St. Lawrence. So obviously if a team's improving over time, it's going to be the most likely place to find it's going to be from the freshman class. And a player like Melanie Wallace certainly has a steep learning curve, and that's starting to show now.
This game will also feature two of the bigger and better players in the ECAC Hockey League. Of course, we're all very familiar with Kim Pierce, now in her senior season. This is senior weekend at Hobey Baker Rink. And on the other side, a player who is perhaps similar in a lot of ways, sophomore Sam Hunt out of Calgary, Alberta. A big player with a lot of good skills. We had a chance to look at her as a freshman last year. Really has come into her own as the team's leading scorer as a sophomore. But we talk about the importance of home ice. In your estimation, how important is it for these particular teams to secure home ice for next weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly for the most part, most UCAC series, the home teams won the vast majority. The 4-5 series hasn't always been the best predictor, and Princeton sometimes, I remember, 2002 against Harvard, they got home ice, couldn't come through in the series. Princeton's been better when they've been in the 2 or 3 position in terms of getting into the next round. So they've lost a couple times in the 4-5 spot, but you always want to be in your home, the home crowd. Just a fewer distractions in terms of staying at home, and in some ways there are fewer distractions on the road too. But in a 4-5 series, pretty much anything can happen. So I don't think it'll be a huge difference.
But the interesting overlay is that the very likely outcome is the 4-5 series will rematch these two teams next weekend. So either way, it's going to be strange to play tonight's game to decide home ice, and then whatever the site may be a week from now, it very well should be these same two squads going at it again in what would be a rematch of last year's quarterfinals.
That's right, and it's amazing how this season looks like we're going to have a lot of rematches, perhaps. If Clarkson can take care of business, and then Yale can't take points from Harvard and Dartmouth, then we're going to see a rematch of St. Lawrence, Indiana, and Clarkson and Harvard. That would be Harvard and Clarkson for the 3rd season in a row, and Yale and St. Lawrence for the 2nd season in a row. So, same teams, different positions. You could even have a rematch of Dartmouth versus Brown, but that's looking pretty unlikely. But if Brown can beat Harvard and Dartmouth, and Clarkson loses to RPI, I believe. RPI. Yeah, RPI loses to Clarkson, then that could happen. But
let's take a quick break. Come back for the drop of the puck.
TV. No lockouts, just hockey.
Colgate and Princeton. The Raiders running fourth in the ECAC Hockey League. Princeton nipping at their heels, just 1 point behind in fifth. And, of course, as we all know, the top four get to stay at home for the first round of the playoffs. Colgate trying to do it for the first time in the program's history. They come in at 14, 13, and 2 overall. 13 up, 6 down, 1 even in the conference. Princeton 14, 10, and 3, also similar in the overall ranking records. And 12, 6, and 2 are the Tigers in conference. Colgate coming off the win over Harvard last Saturday, their first in the program's history, and what has been a season of firsts for Scott Wiley's program. And for Princeton, they come off a strong 3-point weekend themselves at Clarkson and St. Lawrence, 2 difficult rinks in which to find success. They now return home in what will be senior weekend for them, and we see the jerseys of the graduating class of 07, a very productive class for Jeff Campersall, being hung at the opposite end of the rink, and they're hoping that their senior weekend will turn into the penultimate weekend that they play at Hobey Baker Rink if they can win and sweep this weekend and cop 4th place in the conference. Brian Schultz, Dave Dreamer, USCHO Game of the Week. It's Colgate and Princeton. And one thing we do have to note at the outset, Dave, is that Colgate looks very sharp in their new uniforms, but they are not designed with the broadcasters in mind. Black lettering on dark maroon jerseys. It will be difficult from our vantage point here at one end of the rink to pick things up. Princeton, of course, in the home whites with the orange lettering, black helmets, and black pants. And Colgate in the offensive zone off the opening draw here on the USCHO Game of the Week. Our final regular season set of contests in this, our 3rd year on the air. Raiders back to the attack. Ashley Bradford on the drop pass for the first shot of the game, and Kristen Young sees the rubber from distance, gobbles it up, and holds on for the draw.
Yeah, so we're doing our first look at Kristen Young right there. She's slowly emerged to be the #1 goalie again in the last couple of weeks. She had most of the starts early in the season, but Parisi the backup had some pretty good games later on and gave her some challenge, but she's been the #1 goalie for a couple of weeks now.
Off the draw, Princeton controlling, and there is a subplot to the game. Sam Huntley referenced the budding sophomore star with the Colgate Raiders. Kristen Young, the sophomore goaltender with the Princeton Tigers. They both played for the same junior team back in Calgary, the Bonus Bruins. And in fact, there's a couple other players on the Colgate side who did as well. So always a reunion of sorts when these two teams square off. Get a quick whistle for offsides, just 46 seconds in. We'll reset the draw. Up in the neutral zone just outside the Raider end.
Yeah, it was a bit of a recruiting bonanza when you get one player and then a couple of their friends come along too.
Through center, Tigers control. Catherine Deneen slapping it off the left wing wall. It's fired back in by Mallory Johnson for the Raiders. And Deneen tracking it in the near corner of her own end. Deneen stepping forward under the check from Marissa Dombovi. Right wing to Annie Greenwood. Greenwood in her sophomore season has found sledding somewhat more difficult than her banner rookie year. 25 goals a year ago, just 6 in her second campaign at Old Nassau. Far side of the offensive zone for the Tigers. Neither team with a clean handle. Finally fished out of the zone by the Raider defense. They'll go for a quick partial change as Maddie Endicott picks up at her own blue line. Endicott feeling heat from Sam Hunt off the bench. Bouncing puck just outside the blue line. Endicott gets another handle on it and slaps it deep to the zone. Down in the corner. 2-on-2 scrap evolves there. Dug free up the wall, but past the waiting stick of Dina McCumber, and the foot races on back to the Tiger end as Laura Watt, a member of that class of 07, a co-captain on this team along with Kim Pierce, comes back to pick up. Watt around far side, but held along the blue stripe for the moment as Hunt comes in to force the turnover. Pokes it into the high slot, and then has it slapped away and down by Laura Watt. Bouncing puck hits off the wall, crosses the end line, and we get the whistle for an icing call as the puck drifts just wide of Brooke Wheeler.
Yeah, I mentioned Greenwood before, so she's down to 6 goals this season from 24 a year ago when she was the UCAC Co-Rookie of the Year. You know, so far we talked to Campersall, back in November, and he said she was having some bad luck then, and sometimes you just need a little bit of good luck to turn things around. Just hasn't happened for her yet.
And she and her Tiger teammates will be shooting on Brooke Wheeler, 5'10" senior out of Brussels, Ontario. It was she who authored the win over Harvard a week ago as Kristen Young sees another shot, her second of the day, off the stick of Evan Minnick. And again, square to the shooter. Makes the save high on the crease, so we'll get a draw in the Princeton end. So it's Young versus Wheeler in nets here in this critical ECAC conference tilt. Mary Kate Oakley out to take the draw against Carly McNaughton. Oakley productive as she was a year ago, a point per game once again, as Kim Pierce powers over the line on left wing. Figure to call her name a lot tonight, as we tend to do when we call Princeton games. Pierce, number 10, pivoting just outside the faceoff circle. Shovels it down low. Oakley trying to wheel into the slot. Beats one defender, but has it taken away in between the circles. And up right wing go the Raiders. Hacking at it is a Minnick, and Minnick is able to chop it into the Princeton end. Ellen Brown giving chase against Dina McCumber there. McCumber stepping forward. Left wing side. Finds Melanie Wallace. And Dave talked about Melanie Wallace at the outset. Very quietly has come on to have a solid freshman campaign. 7 goals, 9 helpers. Much of that productivity coming since the winter break, as Ashley Bradford, sister of Boston College sophomore standout Brock Bradford, who had 4 points in a win against Maine last night, sends Colgate on their way as it's fought off by Young, thrown in front. Goosed free to Liz Keaty. And Keaty, who always has a great set of wheels, skates up left wing with her opposite number 5, Katie Stewart. A couple strides behind. Keaty to the offensive zone in the corner. Chips it free around to Greenwood. Greenwood threw it in front. Salmon trying to redirect, but it went right to a Colgate defender, and they'll move out of the zone. On the right wing side, gaining center ice and chipping in is Bradford at the end of her shift. And now it's Deneen for the Tigers back behind her own net. Up left wing quickly to Keaty, and Keaty sets sail on left wing one more time. Brooke Wheeler watches the dump in sail wide on ricochet off the corner boards. Raiders with plenty of time to clear. They do so on the diagonal, but right to the stick of Kate Hessian for the Tigers, and it's taken away at center. Over the line comes Caroline, thrown in on Young, who fights it aside. A loose puck down low is pushed behind the net, where Christine Foster takes over for the home team. Nicole McDonald peels back to forecheck as it's thrown through center, hoping to find Allison Ralph, but a couple of Colgate sticks waiting for her, and it bounces away down low to the Raider end. 4:17 got on the first period. Still no score here. Ellen Brown trying to escape her own zone, and the puck popped high in the air. And Colgate will reset from behind their own net. Dosdell off the wall. Finding Minnick along the Princeton blue line. Minnick in the high slot. The nice drop pass for Sam Hunt with a wrist shot, and she snaps it just wide. Actually, it was Brown, 11, not 17, who got that one away. Foster leaving behind the net. Brown will give chase against Ralph. Wraps her up against the side glass. And Minnick chips it back below the end line, and Hessian takes over for the Tigers. Rotating it far side to Christine Foster. Colgate again denies the clear. The centering pass in front for the quick redirect by Minnick. Young kicks that out high on the crease once again. Colgate looking good, buzzing her in the early going. They've authored about 4 shots on goal, and Brown's looking to play make from down low once again. Bats it to the far side, where it's taken by senior Carly McNaughton. McNaughton with 10 goals on the campaign, wraps it in front, but nobody home except Maddie Endicott, and she's able to push it just beyond the blue line, where Colgate will fire in and go for a partial change. Endicott bounces one through the neutral zone. Icing waved off, so all-conference defender Tara French, who you'll hear from in the second intermission, comes back to pick up behind her own net on the far side. Dug free by the Raiders, and they move it forward through center. Katie Stewart toting it into the zone, curling behind the net, shouldered off by Dina McCumber. Mary Kate Oakley on the right wing side, losing on the poke check just inside her own blue line. Forces it free to Wallace. Wallace trying to hand it back to Oakley, had it taken away, and now here's Hunt on the toe drag, steps around the defender for the backhand, and Young makes a fine save. Sam Hunt showing some of those dynamic stick skills we alluded to at the outset. Ashley Bradford on her knees in the near corner, tussling with Laura Watt. Oakley and Hunt now tangling as McCumber comes over to support, and it's Dina McCumber up left wing to Oakley with 6:11 gone in the first period still. Nothing on the scoreboard, although Colgate has had most of the run of play. Up left wing come the Raiders once again. Tigers get back on in their own end. It's Deneen trying to feed Katie. That was batted away and knocked down into the zone by Beth Rotenberg. Far side action. Greenwood able to work it free of the pile. Greenwood motoring forward. Snaps it up right wing to Keaty. Keaty cutting to the center of the ice. Has a screen. Wrists it through traffic. That went just wide. Fluttering puck to the back glass. Bounced off the wall by the Raiders, and they're able to escape the zone, but not much further as Catherine Deneen wheels back to her own end and resets for the Tiger offense. Deneen, headman pass. That was picked off. Down comes McNaughton for the drop pass and the one-timer by Ellen Brown that shoots off the side of the net. Brown got it back, hacks it around to the far side. McNaughton and Sonia Novak cancel there. Stephanie Denino, Brown back on top of it. Denino has a handle on it with the forehand, trying to move forward under duress, and does a good job of that, lobbing forward just out of the reach of Brittany Salmon, but icing waved off, so back to get it, Kate Wilgemuth. And she'll bank it off the wall. Got a tip from a teammate. That was Nick Naughton. And so icing negated once again. Foster will have to play it down low for the Tigers. Behind the net it goes to Hessian. Very few whistles thus far. Dave's been very quiet. Not much of an opportunity to say things as we go end to end. And Endicott carries it over the line for the Tiger offense. Trying to turn the corner. Got tripped up. We're going to have the game's first penalty as Kristen Young scampers to the bench and Colgate touches up. The call from referee Jim McKenna is for a trip. And so Princeton will get the game's first power play.
Yeah, finally a whistle at the 12-13 mark. He was even looking at around the 16-minute mark and wondering when a whistle would be. But, yeah, some great flow to start this game. It's been fun to watch, some end-to-end action. Colgate having a little bit better run of play at the moment. Princeton just has to do a better job of slowing them down as they transition and do a better job taking care of the puck in their own end.
Tigers at 15% on the season on the power play. McCumber quarterbacking with Watt up top. Big one that fires away. Kick save is made. Rebound to Oakley on the backhand, and she flubbed it just wide. Mary-Kate Oakley had time, but the puck was not true to her backhand, and so the Tigers reset. Kim Pierce on the swing to Watt. Watt with a drive. Tip, they score! Melanie Wallace between the circles, able to massage it past, and Princeton, just 18 seconds into the game's first power play, is up 1-0.
Yeah, great puck movement by Princeton on that power play. Left it to Watt, and she was pretty much wide open at the top there. And, had some chances before. Colgate just kind of caught standing still there, gave her straight lane of traffic to shoot into the net.
So the good times keep rolling for freshman Melanie Wallace. For Wallace, that is now her 8th of the season. And as we mentioned, she has come on in the second half, now part of that first power play unit, and between the circles showing a good set of hands. Tina McCumber now back to the attack off the draw. So even though Colgate had the run of play in those first 8 minutes, had a couple of good shots, highlighted by Sam Hunt's great move to free herself. And I think we've got another penalty here, this time for a slash. Even though Colgate had those chances, it is Princeton, given the game's first power play, that strikes first, although it looks like Colgate is going to have their opportunity here as it's McCumber off for slashing at 8:23. And now we'll get a look at the Raiders skating on the man advantage for the first time.
Yeah, McCumber in the box, not a surprising thing to see, leading the team with 23 penalties, and certainly has been a penalized player throughout her career.
Colgate also 15% on the season on the power play. Princeton 86% on the kill. Raiders setting up shop behind the net of Brooke Wheeler. Up the left wing side, they gain center ice, broken up for the moment by Brittany Salmon, and Salmon will keep them pinned down for a little while longer as Tara French glides back to pick up behind her own net. French, the senior out of Nova Scotia, 57 points in her decorated career, all rookie as a freshman, honorable mention all conference as a sophomore, third team all conference as a junior, member of Canada's under 22 team as well, as a drive off the stick of Sam Hunt, high and wide. The carom controlled, dealt back to the point for another slapper that sails wide, this time off the stick of Mallory Johnston. Down low comes Hunt, who leaves in turn for Ellen Brown. Brown returning to Hunt in the corner, and the talented sophomore out of Calgary is bumped off the puck hard by Deneen, who takes advantage to clear the zone. Wheeler wandering out of her net to play it aside to Johnston. Johnston on the quick turnabout. A nice headman pass. Tipped on through, and here's Ashley Bradford dropping for a wrister by Caroline that goes high and wide. Down low, Colgate puts too strong on the puck. Wrapped around, though, by Watt, and the foot race is on. Foster and Lean, they rub each other out against the glass. Colgate holds the line, but Kim Pierce is there to slap it free of the zone with 35 seconds left on the McCumber minor. Princeton up 1-0 on Melanie Wallace's 8th. It was Wallace from Watt and Pierce on the power play. Colgate here with the man advantage. Again, cleanly through the neutral zone. But Dosdell lost the handle inside the Tiger end, and Pierce got another clearance, taken back now by Allison Ralph, and Ralph bats it deep to the zone. Ralph, another member of that class of 07. Playing in potentially her final weekend on home ice, pending results of tonight's game. Final ticks of the Colgate power play. McCumber's got one leg over the penalty box area, and back she comes with 9.5 to go in the first period, and Princeton's still up 1-0. Dosdell, though, trying to create offensively, feeds Bradford in the circle. Ashley Bradford had her stick lifted by Kate Hessian. Hessian winding it around to Catherine Deneen, and Deneen quickly headed off by the fleet-footed Sam Hunt on the far side. Hunt using that reach, trying to protect against a couple of Tiger defenders. Ellen Brown lurking as well for the Raiders, and it's Brown moving up the half wall. But Wallace, who tips it out of the zone, trying to step around Tara French. French locks up her stick, They both lost an edge, but here's Keedy in support with a wrist shot from distance. Sticked aside by Brooke Wheeler. Keedy gets her own rebound back on the far side. It's bothered all the way up the wall. And it reaches the blue line where it's chipped free, and Colgate has a chance to reset. French will skate back behind her own net. Take a moment and a deep breath before she comes out the right wing side. Banking it hard off the boards to center ice, where it's taken by Laura Watt. Watt with 8:45 to go in the first period. Had the primary assist on the lone goal of the contest. Sending it deep to the zone as Wallace, the goal scorer, gives chase. Now Raiders back in control of the defensive end. They've leaked lean into the neutral zone, but couldn't get it to her, and it's sent back down low to Colgate's end, and taken there by freshman Allie Adele. Colgate slowing the tempo now. They were really pushing the pace early on, getting the better of the scoring opportunities. And a turnover as it goes to Mary-Kate Oakley, who fishes it in front for a redirect by Greenwood. There's some of those good hands by the sophomore, but Wheeler made a nice pad save to keep this a 1-0 game. And Colgate foiled on the clear again as Deneen blasts away. Oakley couldn't control the tip. Does get to it down low. Slippery is Oakley as she curls one in front. Wheeler has it pinned against the side of the cage, and she holds on as Pierce came poking.
Yeah, right there. It almost seemed like Colgate was at a disadvantage on the power play there and doing a much better job at even strength. Just seemed things were just too slow to develop on the Colgate attack during that power play, and Princeton was able to pressure them and, just stop down anything that Colgate was trying to do.
Off the draw, Oakley wins it forward, trying to center in front. Had a cutter, it was Pierce, but the pass behind her. Greenwood kicks it back out. Danino on the swing. Deneen has a stick cocked. Lets fly, looking for the deflection from Greenwood. Got it, but it went wide. Pierce picks up in the corner. Pierce throwing again toward the front. A Colgate defender went down but blocked the pass. And now it's the Tigers again. Oakley in the high slot trying to hold the line, but the errant distribution is picked off by Allie Adele and cleared. Oakley back to the attack now on left wing, feeding Greenwood. Greenwood in front looking for Pierce on the backhand. Sprawling was Wheeler. The red light actually came on, but Wheeler has that covered. Good full extension by the 5'10 seniors. A couple bodies get together in the aftermath. Brooke Wheeler making her finest stop to keep it 1-0 in favor of the Tigers.
Yeah, great job by Wheeler there, just shutting the door in the corner. We've seen a lot of good things from her throughout the course of her four-year career. Even back when Rebecca Lahar was still there, minding that's a Colgate. Whenever Wheeler would come in, there would be no drop-off. You could tell the Colgate was going to be solid in that for years to come.
Well, that is one of the good signs. Is off the draw. Big shot comes in, and Wheeler kicks it out. Lively Karam in the high slot, over-skated, taken over by Colgate. Always a good sign for your program when you can graduate standout players and your team actually takes a step forward. There's no disrespect to the Rebecca Lahars, Becky Irvines, and Allison Payanos of the world, but those are standout players that Colgate has had to cope with not having, and yet here they are having the program's best campaign ever. As Kate Hessian, trying to lob forward, turns the puck over. In walks Stewart on the backhand. Nice save by Kristen Young as Katie Stewart, part of that youth movement, trying to tie the game. There's a wrestle down in front of the net, and there goes Julie Flynn for the Tigers, clearing the zone on right wing, but a careless mishandle by the Princeton defense, nearly costly as Kristen Young had to bail them out against Katie Stewart. Colgate on the clearance, puck rolling down. Is this going to go far enough for the icing call? Linesman will give it to Laura Watt, so we'll bring the draw back by Wheeler. 6.5 to go in the first. Melanie Wallace on the power play has the game's only goal.
Yeah, so we had one great save on the Colgate end. Now a good move by Kristen Young on the other end. That turnover happened so fast that, she barely had any time to react, even figure out what was going on, but she did her job and stopped a decent backhand opportunity.
Katie Stewart has stepped in alongside Sam Hunt to give Colgate a nice 1-2 punch. Stewart with 14 goals in her freshman season out of Exeter, Ontario. Through center come the Raiders again. The headman pass this time is headed for Rotenberg. Colgate does gain the line, but it's taken back by the Tigers' Greenwood. Greenwood skirting behind her own net, wraps it off the wall to herself. Greenwood still in possession and now will orchestrate through center. Trying to thread it off to Keedy. Keedy runs into traffic. Greenwood supports her. The puck wanders to the back wall as Greenwood and a defender both go down. Salmon trying to fish it free. And it's Brittany Salmon curling into the face-off circle for a backhander. That's denied. Watt with the puck on edge blasts away. That also did not go through. And Colgate has time to gather and clear up the right wing side. Here comes Lean. Lean banking it to herself. Now will stand and wait as her team changes behind her. And the Tigers take advantage to clear. Salmon bumped off her skates through center. Colgate back in control. Lean is headed off, though. She was the intended receiver, but not looking as she was headed to the bench. And Watt lobs on ahead. They're offside as Kim Pierce walks in and roofs a puck after the whistle had blown. She was well beyond the blue stripe when that pass came in. So 1-0 Tigers face off back in the neutral zone with 5.5 to go.
Yeah, nice shot by Tim Pierce there after the whistle, hitting one top corner, going in the other. Be nice to see that in an actual game. That'll always be exciting.
So the face-off back at center ice. Mary-Kate Oakley turns it back to Deneen. The forecheck being applied by Ashley Bradford. The headman is to Pierce, but it's taken instead by Johnston for the Raiders. Johnston curling back behind her own net with just over 5 to play in the first period. Brian Schultz, David DeReamer on hand, and Hobie Baker rink. And it's Wallace just inside the blue line with a wrist shot through traffic. Again, denied by the Colgate defense. And through center they come as Bradford finesses it down. Bradford, the senior, just 1 goal this season, but she made it count. Game winner against Harvard on senior day last weekend. Up left wing, Wallace gets a chip to poke it into the zone. Pierce trying to use that 5'10 frame to protect. Golfs it in front. Oakley trying to stick handle. The puck was rolling on her, though, and dropped off her blade, and back the other way go the Raiders with speed through center. Evan Minnick trying to make a play on the high slot, dispossessed, but Princeton not able to clear. Thrown in on Young, and she's going to have to cover as Ellen Brown was loose down low. So face off in the Tiger end. You see a little bit of the new style of play that Scott Wiley was telling me about earlier this week. One designed to turn Colgate into a little faster, more up-tempo, more freewheeling type of squad. And they have gone end-to-end tonight, although they have no fruits to show for their labor. Off the draw, it's Hessian for the Tigers, monitored by Carly McNaughton. She'll scale it high off the glass. Puck doesn't settle down as it's hacked down by Foster, and she was on the wrong side of the red line, so icing is going to be the call on the Tigers.
Yeah, and Colgate's definitely had a lot of success so far, doing some long passes through the zone, getting some decent opportunities. This is the first time I've had a chance to see Sam Hunt play, and definitely tell she's a special player right away, someone who's unique and can definitely make things happen.
Came in as a freshman, 16 goals, 32 points a year ago. Has reached those similar totals already as a sophomore, 18 tallies. As Endicott carries forward, left wing side to Hessian. Hessian gains center ice, but triangulated by a trio of Raiders there. Tigers do get the puck deep, courtesy of Julie Flynn. And it's Johnston back to pick up for Colgate. Off the side wall. That was denied by Flynn and Foster. Princeton doing a good job of bottling things up for the moment. Flynn just inside the blue line, puts it deep to the corner, and Sonia Novak will give chase against Laura Jansen. Headman on the diagonal, played with a very high stick by the Tigers. That'll give Colgate a chance to escape their zone, but the diagonal pass is off the mark, and so the Raiders go for a fresh set of lines. As at center ice now, it's Greenwood trying to spring Keedy. That pass also off the mark with 3.5 to go in the first period. And the Tigers with a 1-0 lead. Melanie Wallace, her 8th from Watt and Pierce on the Tigers' lone power play. Colgate 0 for 1 with the man advantage. Their top unit is out there right now. So the line comes Bradford. Slams on the brakes in the corner. Bradford moving up the wall, trying to start the cycle. Hunt gets a touchdown low with Watt 1 step behind. Sam Hunt on the backhand, throwing it toward net. Sticked aside by Young. McCumber lost on the poke check to Katie Stewart down low. Keedy there to provide puck support, wraps it around to Greenwood. Greenwood barrels her way out of the zone. Stewart heads her off at center, but Greenwood stays with it, and she has possession as she hits the line, but her slap shot deflected by Katie Stewart high up into the netting above the glass.
Yeah, you mentioned Ashley Bradford before. First goal last weekend against Harvard, a big one. She had 13 assists on the season before that. Kind of been a table setter. Finally got to have a little glory herself that time.
As we mentioned, Ashley, the senior, plays at Colgate. Brock, the sophomore, very talented forward, who plays at Boston College, working on a 25-plus point sophomore season. Contact in the corner of the offensive zone for the Tigers. Looks like Pierce again throwing her weight around. Oakley comes over to help out her co-captain, and it's Mary-Kate Oakley. Spinning with it just outside the ring, losing on the poke check to Allie Edel. Pierce back on it down low. Good 2-on-2 scrap emerging here between the two sides, and finally it's worked free, but maybe a little too much contact in the end as a call is made for holding amidst that scrum by Jim McKenna. And so Colgate's headed to the box, and Princeton 1 for 1. They needed all of 18 seconds to score the game's only goal last time around. They're back to work 5-on-4 with 2:25 to go in the first.
Yeah, no longer seeing that great flow that we saw for the first 10 minutes or so. A little more scrappy now, a few more battles in the corners. You know, you can see that for a whole 20 minutes.
Off the draw, Oakley pushes it to the corner. Inadvertent horn goes off as Wallace takes over outside the ring and wraps it behind the net. Taken by McCumber, Watt rotates over to the point, and she holds the line as Colgate fails to clear. Watts sidestepping along the blue stripe. A seam opens up for a drive. There's a player in front, and Wheeler's able to see it all the way and make the save, as it looked like it was Oakley who was trying to shield the Colgate netminder from Laura Watts' drive.
Watts, so dangerous on the blue line right there. Certainly one of the best in the game. You can see her do a lot of careful things with the puck. Then a good look at the net there. So many times you just see defenders being too careful to keep the puck from going out of the zone.
Here's Watt again with a drive with traffic in front, and again Wheeler's right there to make the stop. That previous sequence, in a Colgate zone, a big seam opened up right down the middle. You had Watt head on with the goal with the puck. You had Oakley uncontested in front of the net. So two Tigers against Brooke Wheeler, essentially, and Wheeler came up with the stops that one as well, and she's got the face-off to her right with 1:35 to go on the power play. Tigers win another one courtesy of Oakley, and Watt on the swing feeds McCumber. Colgate, though, with good pressure along the points, is able to get the clear, and they're going to get more than that, as Ellen Brown was dropped by McCumber, who was trying to recover and pick up the puck. McCumber gets hit for the call, and so we'll skate 4-on-4, and Dave, that probably will reopen things up for these two teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, McCumber looking a little frustrated right there, kind of, frustration number one, giving him the puck up at the blue line, and she tries to fight for it and just pushes the player down with one arm.
So a good speed matchup here as Hunt comes out opposite Keedy. Hunt wins the draw, curls to the right wing side, put on a nifty stick handling move against Hessian, but lost control. And here's Keedy back up left wing for the Tigers. Here's Keedy over the line trying to protect against Dosdell. Moves it to the corner where Salmon will fight for it. So 1:08 of 4-on-4, 1:32 to go in the first period. Princeton up 1-0. Lone goal by Melody Wallace. And here come the Raiders up the left wing side. The bank pass was intended for Katie Stewart, broken up by Catherine Deneen, and then the puck squirted out of play. So we'll get another stoppage.
Yeah, Liz Keedy is certainly someone who's had a very interesting career at Princeton. Some national team prospects of her last season. Also a pretty devastating injury in the ECAC playoffs a couple years back. Can talk more.
Off the draw, Keedy wins it back to Deneen. Keedy, one of the final cuts for the 2006 U.S. Olympic team. And as Dave alluded to, that was in the aftermath of a very severe injury against Yale, as Keedy moves up the left wing side for the long distance wrist shot. Sticked away by Wheeler. Deneen off the wall. As we hit the final minute of the first period, Princeton with a 1-0 lead. The lead pass goes through center. And moving up now, it's Caroline losing on the poke check to Mary-Kate Oakley. Right to Kim Pierce. Pierce back to Oakley. Tips it aside on through to Salmon. Right back to Oakley. Good touch passing by the Tigers. Here's Oakley, always a good stick handler, but equally competent stay-at-home defense there by, looked like, Kate Woolgamuth for the Raiders, and now Oakley will have to try again, sliding it down low for the redirect. The puck is loose in the low slot, taken back by the Tigers. 4-on-4 is over. Princeton is now short-handed, but Oakley still is operating down low in the offensive zone with 20 ticks on the first period clock. Skate to stick transfer. Still she has control. Princeton is actually changing behind her. Oakley, if nothing else, is killing off some power play time, and Laura Watt now promptly puts it back to the corner with only 8 seconds on the clock. And it looks like that's how the first period's going to end. Katie Stewart is loose in the neutral zone, but as the puck bounces away, and Laura Watt picks up, the horn sounds, ending a quick-moving first period. Melanie Wallace on the power play from Laura Watt and Kim Pierce. All we have on the board after one. Some good chances at both ends. Some good work by Kristen Young and Brooke Wheeler, and it's 1-0 Princeton after one.
Yeah, so far both teams looking pretty good so far, but Princeton having a power play goal, just being very dangerous on the power play seems to be the difference in the game so far.
So 1-0 Princeton after one. Caught up with Scott Wiley and Jeff Campersall earlier this week, so we'll let them take over for the next 15 minutes. You're listening, as always, to the USCHO Game of the Week. My guest is Colgate head coach Scott Wiley. Raiders entering the last weekend of the regular season in position to potentially earn home ice in the quarterfinals of the ECAC tournament. Coach, let's start right there. If I rewind the clock to Thanksgiving weekend, this team drops an overtime game to Clarkson, is at 4-9-1. Since then, things have obviously done a complete 180. You're in great position in the conference. What were the keys to this team really finding itself?
Well, I think, our schedule is set up to be very competitive in the early part of the season by design. So, I knew that we had the possibility to be a real strong contender. We changed some systems to allow our team to be much more skating oriented, and I think that helped. I think just kids getting comfortable with each other. I mean, I still have 16 underclassmen, which is a ton, and I think they just needed to kind of get their skates under them a little bit and, get some confidence. And, I think that was a real pivotal weekend when we, faced a lot of adversity that game against Clarkson, and then came out the next day and had a great performance. And kind of from then on, we've really played with a lot of confidence, and got some great performances from some of our upperclassmen and some timely scoring from a lot of different people.
Yours has been a team that, through the years there have been a number of firsts, and you've been able to challenge some of the best teams in the league. But I look this year, you're the only team out there that's bagged a victory over the three teams above you, Dartmouth, St. Lawrence, and then, of course, Harvard this past weekend on Senior Day. How important, in your estimation, is having that kind of credit in the bag?
I think it's, it's probably more important for, people in the media and people on the outside. It's been great for our our alums, and it's been great for our institution, and it gives us some credibility. I think that what you have to do is you have to do that on a consistent basis before it really has a major impact. But it gives our kids a lot of confidence knowing that we can compete with the best teams in the ECAC, and I think they've done a really good job. That the nice thing is, because of our schedule and because of our league, and because everybody's good in it, our kids don't get intimidated by the better teams, so they're able to compete and know that we have a chance. And when we play up to our ability, then we're able to play with anybody.
You referenced some of the contributions from the upperclassmen, and as you referenced, it's still a fairly young team. So highlight a few of those players. Who are the players? I mean, you know them quite well. I'm sure you had expectations for them, but who are some of those players who really maybe took it to another level in helping this team get to where it is now?
I think I think if you look at it, you got to look at our captains. Tara French has been a solid blue line contributor for us for all of her 4 years. She's a 3-time All-League selection. She's a member of the Canadian national program. And she just brings everything to another level. I mean, she can play as many minutes as we need her to. She plays on our power play unit, our special teams. She's on the ice against the other team's best players. So she has been really solid for us. Carly McNaughton, who's another senior captain, she leads our team in game-winning goals. She does a lot of the little things well. She's a great penalty killer. She's also on the power play. She plays usually against the other team's best forwards. So, I mean, those two kids have really done a great job. We've gotten great goaltending from both Brooke Wheeler and Elena Hamashuk. So it really just depends. It's kind of a nice problem to have, I guess you would call it, which you can look at the teams you're playing and take a look at who matches up best and be able to go with those kids and knowing they're going to give you a solid performance. And then if you look at it, Sam Hunt leads our team in scoring. She's a sophomore, but incredibly dynamic, tremendous player with the puck in her stick. She's real dangerous, and I think you need that type of kid on a team like this to be able to know that you have a threat that can, every time she touches the puck, is dangerous. And, Katie Stewart's been a real solid contributor as a freshman. She's got 20-plus points. Bunch of game winners, scored a couple of highlight reel goals this year, and the nice thing is we've got some depth, and I think that's really the key in this league.
You referenced the two goaltenders, and we have seen both the senior and the sophomore, Wheeler and Hammershek, get meaningful starts. And this past week, I know Wheeler got both assignments. So I guess coming down the stretch, you referenced more of a matchup plan. I guess can you go with two down the stretch, or do you need to shift to one or the other as we head into crunch time here?
No, I mean, I think you can have two. I think we'll probably heading into the playoffs, because we're going to see Princeton for the first our last regular season game and for playoffs. So we may see how it goes. I'm definitely not afraid to switch it up. I have confidence in both of them. I know they both can get the job done, and sometimes you just go with your gut and see what happens. So we're yet to be determined as how we're going to handle it.
You referenced making an adjustment to the systems. Tell me a little bit about sort of the rationale behind that and sort of what that has done, what kind of style of play we should expect to see from Colgate now versus the Colgate teams we've seen before.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing, the rationale was based on, Ryan Stone, who is kind of the brains behind the systems changes. We really talked a lot about the strengths of our team. I thought we were going to have a real good skating team. We looked at some of the weaknesses from the past, in which I didn't think we were able to break the puck out as well as we needed to against the better team. So we went to a little more of a spread type breakout. It's pretty hard to defend. We want to stretch some teams into the neutral zone, get our speed up, move the puck well, and when we're able to do that, I think we're the speed, it will be the noticeable difference. Before, I think we had some kids who could skate, but we kind of held them back a little bit. Now we're a little more free flowing. It's a little more risky. You take a little more chances, but I think your risk reward factor is pretty high. So that was the first impetus, was kind of the team that we had, and then we looked at it, and knowing that it was going to be a bit of a process, we decided to stick with it, and I think our kids really enjoy playing it. I think they like the fact that we go on offense a lot quicker and a lot more often. And I think the women's game has changed dramatically to much more of transition-based hockey, and I think that was kind of the direction we wanted to go with it. So that was kind of the thoughts behind it, and we've stuck with it, and I think it's worked out really well.
You talked about some of the big wins, quote unquote, being more for the people on the outside. And if I look at some of the opponents, I think there's probably still one big fish out there you haven't bagged, and that's the one you're going to see this Friday, the Princeton Tigers. And we did this game a year ago. It always seems like it is a tight affair between the two of you, but it seems like Princeton tends to come out on top. So tell me about how you feel the new style might match up with the Tigers and keys to going into their barn and corralling home ice for the first round.
Yeah, well, I think our system matches up well against every team we play. It's like I said, it's pretty hard to defend. You have to make some adjustments, and I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, going into Princeton, we have an opportunity to be one of, I think, 2 teams that would beat everybody in the league this year. I think Dartmouth is the only other one. So, we've done some really good things. I think our kids have a lot of confidence going into the weekend. I know that in the past, when we've lost tight games to Princeton, I think we've lost last 3 by a goal, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we know we're in the game. I know the kids are excited. It's an opportunity. A couple of our goals, one was home ice, one was second round of the playoffs. They know those are squarely in our sights, and this team has been really good at first. I mean, they've really taken a charge to really looking at what we haven't done in the past and really trying to change history and make something for this program this year. So I'm excited about the opportunity. I know our kids are much more excited than they are anything else, and are real confident going into Friday.
My guest is Princeton head coach Jeff Campersall. Tigers 14-10-3 overall, 12-6-2 in the ECAC Hockey League. Playing for a chance at home ice in the quarterfinals this Friday night against the team just ahead of them in the standings, and that being Colgate. And coaches, I always like to get sort of an overall progress report. I know you're coming off a nice weekend. North Country's a tough place to get points. You came home with 3. How do you feel about this team as you head into the final weekend of the regular season?
Last weekend was a good confidence builder for us. All season long, we've been kind of up and down, but we strung together 2 solid games in a row. I think that hopefully bodes well for this weekend. Colgate is an awesome team. We've battled with them 4 times last year and already once this year, and so I feel like we have a lot of hockey to play with them maybe coming up. In Cornell's, we had a tough time at their place the first time, and they compete really hard as well, so we'll have our hands full this weekend.
You mentioned some of the up and down play. That was one of the questions I was going to have. Is a lot of weekends in December and January, whether it was Wayne State, Ohio State, Yale, and Brown, sort of win one, lose one. This past weekend, you were able to back up the 2-0 shutout against Clarkson with a rally to tie St. Lawrence the next day. What did you get this past weekend that maybe you weren't getting in the 120 minutes in some of those other weekends?
I just thought just attention from our kids, attention to detail. They're really tough along the boards and the breakouts, controlling the blue lines, getting the puck out when they're supposed to, getting the puck in when they're supposed to. So I thought that they paid particular attention to detail and were focusing on playing a full 60 minutes. So I thought that was one of the differences.
Goaltending is something that you and I have talked about over the course of the season. It seems like it has gone back and forth a little bit along the way. In the recent weeks, though, it seems like Chris Young may be stepping back forward. Is this, at this point, sort of her job?
No, I think it's still an everyday competition. We have confidence in both our goalies. Both of them are young, but they're getting experience along the way. But again, it's hard because Kristen played probably 4 games last year, and Brittany played 0, obviously, coming into this year, and so they're both trying to find their way through the league. But we have confidence in them both, and they push each other every day to compete, to start, and so we're happy about that.
What kinds of differences do you notice about their games now that they do have some experience? Now they do have 10 and 18 games respectively versus what you were seeing in September and October early on in the season.
Well, I just think, for the goalies, we call it house cleaning is important. Just taking care of rebounds, the area in front of the crease. A lot of the goals in women's hockey are scored probably 4 or 5 feet out in the slot area just on rebounds, and so they've both done better in that aspect, and they both have more of a presence. I always feel like goaltenders need to be, they might physically not be 4x6, but they need to sort of have that presence that they are, and I think they've both built upon that, which, you can call that presence, confidence, I guess.
Looking at players who have stepped forward, obviously you're getting the constants up front in Kim Pierce and Mary-Kate Oakley, and obviously Laura Watt's still very versatile for you. But notice kind of Melanie Wallace has put together a nice little freshman season, come on strong in the second half of the year, and has escaped the penalty box for the entire season as well. What are some of the things that she's been able to bring to the table and have been keys to her making an impact here?
Well, Wallace is a kid who she can make plays and score goals, so she has skill. So if she can get it tops of the circles in, she can do some damage there. She had a nice shot against St. Lawrence underneath the crossbar to tie the game up. So she's been doing better. She still has a long way to go in terms of her development, but she's a good kid and she works hard. And those other three you mentioned, or at least the two like Watt and Pierce, if those guys are as dominant as they were, say, this past weekend, then I feel like we always have a chance to beat anybody. So.
Looking at sort of the rest of the team, who else maybe is giving you more than sort of the numbers would indicate? Who are you sort of especially pleased with, or who you feel is poised to really finish the season strong here?
I would say, hopefully our whole group. I feel like it's probably like last weekend was probably the second weekend, like when we played Harvard and Dartmouth on the road. We lost both games, but I thought we played really, really well in both of them, and maybe deserved a little bit better in our Harvard game, and probably deserved like what we got in our Dartmouth game. But I thought we played well, and we strung together like two solid games in a row. And just the Clarkson St. Lawrence, I thought we did as well, and just everybody was kind of on the same page, knowing their responsibilities. And I thought that was the most important thing from this past weekend.
You referenced the series this weekend. Let's talk a little bit more about the matchup with Colgate. Looking at the players on the current rosters, there's not a player on your roster that's ever lost to this team, but it seems like it's always been tight. I mean, your team is 7-0-2 against them in the last 3+ seasons. But as you referenced, playoff series last year, 1-goal game earlier this year. What are the keys to matching up with them successfully on home ice?
Well, we have a lot of respect for Colgate and Coach Wiley. He's not only, he's a good coach, but not only that, better than that, he's a good guy. And so sometimes it's tough in that way to compete against friends. But at the same point, Colgate, they play a different style now with a floater winger. So it's more of a kind of a wide open game. And it's a pain in the neck to sort of prepare for, and when you're used to playing sort of a normal brand of hockey, and then to get out of sorts a little bit. But hopefully, we'll be ready for that style of game. Not necessarily looking forward to it, but I think we'll be ready for it, and hopefully we'll be able to counteract. And so just going back to us being prepared as a group, I feel like our kids have been practicing hard, kind of understand what Colgate does and what we need to do to counteract that. And then what's different about their team in the past, I think, is they have a couple difference makers now, and maybe they had those kids last year, but they're more experienced. Like someone like Sam Hunt is amazing. She can stick handle around. She can stick on around you in a telephone booth. She's that talented. If you give her time and space, she's going to make you pay. And their power play is very, very good. And so if we spend as much time as we do in the box, then we're in trouble. But if we can play disciplined, I like how our kids are preparing this week. So.
Thoughts of Scott Wiley and Jeff Campersall, and so far Campersall's Tigers have the edge on the scoreboard by a count of 1-0. Brian Schultz, David DeReamer on hand. USCHO Game of the Week, final regular season weekend for the ECAC Hockey League, and home ice on the table. Melanie Wallace from Laura Watt and Kim Pierce on the power play in the first period is all we have on the board. A very short Colgate power play to kick things off here in the second. Teams will change ends as we get a look at Brooke Wheeler just below us for the second period. And as we alluded to, Colgate in the road dark maroon jersey, black helmets and black pants, but black lettering, which is making our lives a little difficult with our perch here at the end of Hobey Baker Rink. Second period underway. So, Dave, very quickly, any adjustments that you see that, Colgate looked like they did a lot of good things offensively. Anything that they would be looking to change or adjust here in the second period to get that first goal?
Right. I mean, first, I think they just need to get back to what they were doing in the first 10 minutes. I mean, they had a lot of good opportunities there, especially Sam Hunt, and it seemed like it was only a matter of time before they were going to put one in, and it didn't happen. On the power play, they just definitely did. Princeton has a lot of dangerous players, especially Laura Watt. They can't leave her with all those lanes that she was down in the first period.
At center ice, it is Tara French for the Raiders. French, native of Nova Scotia, Truro to be exact, now in her senior season. You'll hear from her in the second intermission. You'll also hear from Mary Kate Oakley. We talked about the bonus Bruins pipeline to both these teams, but primarily on the Colgate side. How about the Nichols School pipeline for the Tigers? Oakley, Brittany Salmon, and Dina McCumber, all products of the upstate New York institution. As the puck through center ice, and Hunt trying to center, lost the puck from behind. And down low, it's scooped up by Watt. Watt out of Ajax, Ontario, leaves for McCumber. And McCumber starts forward unmolested. Gains center ice, feeds Pierce on right wing. Pierce outside the ring, trying to loft one toward goal. Wugelmuth got in the way of that. Chipped around far side. Allie Adele scrapping with Annie Greenwood. Mary Kate Oakley losing on the poke check. Forced out of the zone. Bradford giving chase. Knocked away from her. Colgate with another chance. Carly McNaughton on the left wing side. Bangs it into the zone for the road team. Minute 15 gone by in the second period. Still 1-0 Tigers. Kate Hessian digs it free in the corner of her defensive zone. Rotates it around to Liz Keaty in space. And Keaty has plenty of room to motor up the side of the rink. Her errant headman pass is intercepted by McNaughton. Here's Carly McNaughton on left wing. Curling down low, trying to protect, and center. Bounced off the side of the cage into the circle. Nobody home for either team. Finally goose free by the Tigers. Here's Keaty settling down the bouncing puck at center. Keaty on right wing gains the Colgate line. Slams on the brakes just outside the ring. Wrist shot did not go through. Mallory Johnson got in the way of that. Johnson steps away from tracking. Backhands it free. Icing waved off. So Danino will have to come back and pick up for the Tigers, with Nicole McDonald one step behind. Colgate on the forecheck. Princeton looking to break the puck out from behind their own net. Danino fakes one way, comes out the left wing side, and rotates it promptly back to right wing as Caroline steps over to intercept. Lean will drive the net as Don Bovey was trying to get it in front. Bounced off the back wall and rolls free. Danino this time will let Catherine Deneen shuttle forward. And it's Deneen gaining center ice. The Tiger insignia slings it in deep, and Ashley Bradford scoops up for the Raiders. Back behind the net, Kira Dosdell. Dosdell peeks out the right wing side. Bank headman trying to spring Sam Hunt through center, who had her stick lifted by Laura Watt. Puck goes all the way down, and we get the icing. 2:50 into the second, 1-0 Princeton.
Yeah, I think Princeton's adjusted a little bit more to Colgate's style of play than we saw early in the first period. Colgate had a little bit more freedom to move the puck through the neutral zone. I think Princeton's now, I'm sure they prepared for this and everything, but, once you're down on the ice, it's a different story, but they finally found their way.
The floater system that is now employed by the Raiders, and perhaps not a coincidence. You heard Scott Wiley credit his new assistant, Ryan Stone. Ryan Stone was a former assistant to Digit Murphy down at Brown. They also employed a variant of the floater system during several years there. Dina McCumber wheeling down low in her own zone, plastered to the glass by Ellen Brown, worked free around the side, held by Tara French. French has a lane open up for a drive, stick saved by Kristen Young, and I believe she still has possession of the puck as we get the whistle and the stoppage.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about the floater system, it's usually pretty fun to watch whenever you see a team try to use it. Just opens things up. When you watch a lot of women's hockey games, you always kind of want to see, as a fan, you definitely always want to see something different every now and then, and that certainly allows for it.
Off the draw, Laura Watt controls for the Tigers, leaves in the corner to McCumber. A lead pass through center, easily intercepted by French. Disrupted Mary Kate Oakley. And I believe the call is going to be made for a hand pass somewhere amidst that process. So we'll get a draw right at center ice as both teams go for a quick substitution.
And going back to the development of this Colgate team, it's been a pleasure watching them this game, and especially to see where they came from like 4 years ago. To see them be such a competitive force nowadays.
But as we've seen with successful programs like Mercyhurst, as Kim Pierce moves in on right wing, she has space to try to create, tucks it in front, swatted away by Wheeler, but right back to Pierce behind the cage. Pierce peeks out on the near side, spins, gets a pick from Oakley down low, centers it in front, hit off a Colgate defender and caught the back of the netting. Mallory Johnson on the bank, feeds Caroline, poked away by Oakley. Johnson couldn't clear by Wallace, throws it down low for Pierce. Bouncing puck settled down by Oakley in the corner, rubbed out by Lean and Johnston there. Pierce comes over to pry for it as well. Finally scraped off the wall by Oakley. And Mary-Kate Oakley in the circle. Gathers it into the high slot. Her shot is blocked, knocked down by Marissa Dombovi. And Colgate gets the clear as back to get it is Endicott. I was going to say, as Princeton ices the puck, the foundation always seems to be between the pipes. And Colgate, like a Mercyhurst, one thing they've always had, Dave, is they always had a pretty good goaltender back there.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, early on, it didn't seem to reap a lot of dividends. Like I said, several seventh-place finishes in a row there. But, you know, even though they were seventh year after year, you could definitely see some signs of progress.
Off the draw, bouncing puck, stepping in for the wrist shot, Johnston. That did not go through. Dostal peels back to her defensive position. But Colgate still holds the line for the moment. Keedy down low, trying to create space with her speed. She's bottled up. You know, Colgate plays an open style, but they have some good size as well. You talk about Hunt, Brown, Dostal, French. These are all players with a good size frame to work with as Dostal picks up behind her own net, curls out the left wing side. Long lead pass, trying to spring that floater through center. Could not connect with Ashley Bradford. Colgate, though, does a good job of disrupting the breakout once again. They'll get the setup shot down low, where it's taken, though, by Deneen for the Tigers. Deneen up now to Salmon. Salmon on the backhand, springs Julie Flynn through center, and Flynn, the Nobles product, will put it deep and head off to the bench. Tara French picks up down low. French also played prep hockey as she turns it over on the clearing attempt. Headed off by Sonia Novak. French, a product of Deerfield Academy. As it's wound around far side. Watt holds the blue line there. French, though, knocks down the pass attempt. Gathers it forward, but it's intercepted in the neutral zone by McCumber. Dina McCumber stick handling over the line on the left wing side. McCumber with an angled shot. Easily sticked aside by Wheeler. Backhand centering feed taken by Evan Minnick. And Minnick out of Colorado. Spins it off the wall. Actually caught a piece of the linesman. The puck stays in play. Things getting choppy once again and congested as we come up on 6 gone by in the second period. Still 1-0 Tigers in the USCHO game of the week. Melanie Wallace is 8th on the power play from Watt and Pierce. All we have on the board as the Tigers get it deep. Wheeler thought about playing it. Now we'll defer to Tara French once again. French pausing behind the cage as Lean McNaughton and Wolgamuth with her. The floater being played by Beth Rotenberg. The lead pass did not connect, so Hessian back to get it behind her own net for Princeton. Hessian, part of that senior class out of Bedford, New Hampshire. Wallace gains the line for the Tigers, puts on the brakes. Sharp angle shot saved by Wheeler. Left a little bit of a bobble, but quickly clamped.
Hey, you mentioned the size factor for Colgate using the floater system. I talked about them being unique before, not just because they're using that floater system, but the size that you mentioned, like Brown was a team where, you know, the floater usually would be someone very quick that didn't have a lot of size, like a Tina Zucker or someone like that, and it's been very different watching Colgate use the system.
Allie Adele, who Scott Wally identified as on a good skating team, the fastest skater he has, freshman out of the Berkshire School, goes D to Mallory Johnson. Up the boards, a nice touch pass. Are they onside? Yes, they are. Don Bovey tucks it off the wall. Taken, though, by Oakley. Oakley on the rotation, hoping for Hessian. Went by her. Wallace waving at it. She's rubbed out against the side glass with 12:55 to go in the second period. Still 1-0 Princeton on top. In this battle for home ice, Colgate 13-6-1 in the conference. Princeton 12-6-2. They did take the first decision against the Raiders earlier this season, 3-2. So as Dave said, if the teams do finish tied, Princeton will win the head-to-head. As a shot by Adele, kicked out by Young. The lively Karam hits off high off the glass and drops behind the net. Rubbed free to Hessian. Down comes Hunt trying to seal. Does a good job of that. The puck rolls into the circle, but only Tigers waiting there. And here comes Mary-Kate Oakley through center. Oakley double team, lost on the poke check to Dostal. Hunt is loose, but Dostal can't spring her. And Young thought about playing it aside. And now will cover it up instead and take the draw on her own end.
Yeah, Colgate nearly had some success with that floater a couple minutes ago. Just a little bit too slow to develop. Like you saw it there, then held off a bit. Usually once you get that floater in, it'll draw a bit of attention, and then you can try to dump the puck to somebody else and make things happen. But, Colgate will definitely get some rewards eventually with that system.
Off the draw, the shot by Minnick, paddled aside by Kristen Young. Now another centering pass trying to hit Ellen Brown, cutting to the net. Couldn't get a clean handle for the shot, and Princeton skates away up left wing, getting the clear is Keedy. Heavily congested area by the two benches. Drifts free to Catherine Deneen, on the rotation to Stephanie Danino. Now it's Greenwood handing off to Salmon over the line. Salmon one-on-one with Kate Woolgamuth. Woolgamuth holds her own as Salmon still has possession, sweeping out the near side. Princeton working the perimeter. Colgate providing the pressure. Evan Minnick was almost free in the neutral zone, but couldn't settle down the bouncing puck. And Danino has a chance to recover back at her own end. Ellen Brown comes up with it for a moment. Dispossessed, but supported. Shot from an angle. Young again likes to play aggressive. She's always high on that crease. Makes the kick save. Princeton on the clearance. Salmon with the tip. Taken back, though, by Katie Stewart. Sam Hunt trying to create over the line. Body to the ice. Gets help from Stewart. Stewart trying to walk it to the front. One hands it down into the low slot. It's Kurtz through a couple of legs. And back the other way come the Tigers. Through center, it's Salmon. On the right wing side has Greenwood. Trying to leave it off for the sophomore forward, but that's taken instead by Johnston for the Raiders, and Mallory Johnston. She out of Chatham, Ontario. Banks it off the left wing boards to center. The feed by Hunt was intended for Stewart. Hunt gets it back. Losing on the poke check, though, to Allison Ralph, and Ralph drops it down into her own end to Laura Watt. Coming up in the midway point of the hockey game here on the USCHO Game of the Week. 1-0 Princeton over Colgate in this battle for home ice, potentially in the ECAC quarterfinals. Of course, the one thing, if Princeton was to win tonight, it would also assume some results tomorrow. Now, you would think Princeton would beat Cornell, but as Jeff Campersall rightly alluded to, that was only a 1-0 game up at Lina Rink a couple months ago.
Right, absolutely. And, if Princeton wins this game, the only way that Colgate can get that home ice spot is if Princeton loses to Cornell, and then Colgate can beat Quinnipiac. And, not without the rim. And it's going to be Cornell's last game, too, of the season, so you never want to underestimate a team that's going to see its season end.
Left wing side is Dowsdale. Nifty stick handling to get deep to the Tiger end, or ridden off her skates as it's wrapped around to the near side. Colgate still with possession, trying to create an offensive chance. Nice wraparound attempt, slapped through the goal mouth. And as Princeton's defense late in rotation, a wrist shot through traffic this time off the stick of Dowsdale, travels wide. Ralph on the scale, gets it high off the glass to center ice. Coming back to get it, Dowsdale one more time. Here at Dowsdale, sophomore out of Fairfield, Connecticut. Bump to the ice from behind in the zone, goes down on top of the puck, and we'll get the whistle from Jim McKenna, who incidentally, if the name McKenna is familiar to women's hockey fans, it is because he is the brother of Jody McKenna, former Brown captain and assistant coach to Paul Flanagan up at St. Lawrence.
Yeah, many St. Lawrence connections here. Wiley himself was a St. Lawrence alum, I believe, 93.
That's correct. Off the draw, Julie Flynn on the spin, banking it off the wall, but too light on the pass attempt, and Ellen Brown moves it forward. She uses the indirect pass herself. Icing waved off, so Heschen will have to play it in the corner. Chipped free from there. Endicott giving chase, as is Woolgamuth. Goosed into the slot. Raiders trying to kick it free. They will. It's Minnick on the right wing side in the faceoff circle. Sharp angle shot fought off by Young. On the follow, it sails wide. Colgate now surging a bit offensively as French got one away on the pinch. Now behind the net, they'll trade places as French comes down low from the blue line to play some offense. Losing, though, on the pass attempt, and Princeton back the other way up right wing with 9 to go in the second. Here comes Keedy. Keedy's entry to the zone denied by Minnick. Tara French on the turnover, up left wing, orchestrating the rush. French for the wrist shot, kick saved by Young. Traffic develops in front, the rolling puck to the side wall. French bodies off Endicott there. Katie Stewart into the play. Hunt giving chase against Deneen down low. Hunt lost her edge, as did Deneen. Centered in front, went through everyone to the point. Knocked down there by Edel, down low to Hunt. Hunt has Stewart. Hunt trying to finesse her way into the circle. Chasing after a Tiger defender. Again, they both go down, but through center comes Keedy, and Keedy on left wing feeds Flynn for a drive, and Wheeler does not leave a rebound as it goes right into her pads.
Yeah, some good chances on both ends there. Colgate doing a good job getting the puck out of the in their attacking zone, and it seems like only a matter of time before something will go right for them. They had a good opportunity there, generate off a neutral zone turnover, just couldn't get the rebound.
Off the draw, dug free by Johnston for the Raiders. Slinging in on the left wing side, Ashley Bradford. Bradford ladles it on ahead. Too far for Stewart. Taken instead by Danino. She turns it over down low. Centered in front. Young is way out of position. Angled backhand did not go through as the Tigers set up a perimeter with their goaltender down and out. Another centering pass comes through to the far side. Bradford got underneath that one. Put it high over the crossbar. Hunt picks up in the corner. Finesses her way neatly around one defender. Around two, Hunt walks it to the front. Rolling puck on the centering pass. Did not connect, with some brilliance by Sam Hunt. You heard Jeff Campersall say she can stick the handle around you in a phone booth, and there she did it twice. But to no avail, with 7:45 to go in the second period. Still 1-0 Princeton as Mary Kate Oakley, an accomplished stick handler in her own right, sends it forward for the Tigers. Dosdell having trouble against the glass. Ellen Brown pokes it free to Carly McNaughton. McNaughton has a full head of steam as she hits the Tiger line for a drive, but Danino's stick got in the way. Evan Minnick picks it up down low. Minnick curls into the ring. Minnick with speed, protecting on the backhand as she maneuvers it out to the point. Jansen from there, and now it's Minnick again outside the ring. Colgate cycling well here as Brown turns it down low to McNaughton. Danino bodies her to the glass, taken by Keedy. Poked forward on left wing to Greenwood. Greenwood monitored by Dosdell. Dosdell gaps up, pokes it off her blade. Tigers go for wholesale changes. 7 to go in the second period. Still 1-0 Princeton on top of Colgate. As we referenced, every member of this Tiger roster undefeated against the Raiders in their career. Always tight games, but 7-0-2 have gone to decisions over the last 3 seasons. Plus, Princeton has the lead, and they're guilty of icing here as the puck goes the distance.
Yeah, I'm going to remember that Sam Hunt phone booth line from Campersall for a while. Yeah, when he said it, I wasn't sure if I believed it, but that play certainly changed my mind there. Definitely an exciting player to watch, Sam Hunt. And on this other side, Princeton needs to do a little bit better job and not make it so easy for her. You can always make certain players look like all-stars if you're not defending well.
Well, she is 5'9", but you gotta play her physically if you can. I mean, 2 Tigers kind of half-heartedly almost gave her a little bit of room, and she promptly turned that into a stick-handling exhibition, but her centering pass did not connect. Tigers to the offense. Puck is just inside that Colgate blue line. French is scrapping forward, as is Caroline. Lean backhands it down low to Wolgemuth. Kate Wolgemuth leaving for Tara French. French on the wrap, up the wall, will not get the clear. Watt waiting right there to intercept. Takes the shot, banks it down low. Big collision in front. Greenwood and Wolgemuth both went down. We play on. Greenwood hacking at it down low against French. French back to Wolgemuth on the left wing side this time. And Colgate has escaped their end, but they're bottled up at center. Big hit applied as Greenwood went down again. Caroline trying to center on the backhand. Greenwood a bit slow to get back into the play. Puck poked up the wall. Hits the skate of Mallory Johnson. Does not leave the zone. She feathers it back down low, where it's taken by Laura Watt. Watt losing on the stick check with 5:45 to go in the second period. Still, Melanie Wallace's 8th on the power play from Watt and Pierce. The only goal we have thus far came on the power play. And Princeton has a 1-0 lead as through center, Brittany Salmon gets the dump in. And again, a quick change for Jeff Campersall's Princeton Tigers. Ashley Bradford on the scoop behind her own net. The long bank pass. That one is on target to Hunt, but she's promptly double teamed. And back the other way comes Sonia Novak. Novak with speed and a wrist shot, but Wheeler promptly rises up out of the crouch to make the glove save.
Princeton finally building a little bit of momentum there. They haven't done a whole lot this game on 5-on-5, but a few minutes ago they had a nice opportunity to generate off their forecheck, and there they had some good transition moving into the zone.
So the face-off to Brooke Wheeler's left. Wheeler 26, 25, and 10 in her career, but excellent metrics. 2.29 goals per game allowed, a 92% save percentage, 9 career shutouts during her stay in Hamilton. Kira Dosdell banking it off the glass. That attempt at the floater was easily read and picked off by Maddie Endicott. Left wing side. Puck poked forward, put into space, and sent to Laura Jansen. Jansen from long range puts it over the line. Hession giving chase for the Tigers down low, and she will win it free. The senior from Bedford, New Hampshire. Now sent forward to McCumber. McCumber gliding through center unmolested. Dosdell then elbows her down, and Kira Dosdell is going to get hit for a penalty here. Actually, that was Monica Brennan, 8, not McCumber, 9. Just kind of kept going slowly through 3 zones, then all of a sudden was knocked down by Dosdell, and so there's the first penalty in some time. First penalty of this period, incidentally, with 4:32 left to play. And it will be Princeton on the power play up 1-0.
Yeah, Princeton, as I said, looking a little better 5-on-5. Only a matter of time before that was going to lead to either a goal or some sort of opportunity here. And now Colgate really needs to stop this power play, because they really haven't done a great job against the Princeton power play, which has been very dangerous so far.
So it will be Hunt, Stewart, French, and Wolgemuth opposite Wallace, Oakley, Pierce, Watt, and McCumber. Colgate wins the draw courtesy of Hunt. French sandwiched to the glass by a trio of Tiger attackers. Pierce wins it free to Oakley. Oakley kicks it out to Laura Watt. Watt has the stick cocked, does not shoot, feeds Pierce instead. She lets fly. That hit French in the skates and bounced to the far side. Watt skates over the hole, the line. Pulls it back out. Stewart monitoring. Watt deals to Pierce, skipping the pass. Behind the intended receiver, McCumber, and a good sliding effort on the PK by Sam Hunt to clear. 1:26 to go on the penalty to Dosdell. 3:55 in the period. Nearly a dangerous moment for Watt behind her own net, but digs it free to Pierce. And here's Pierce, dangerous in space. Pierce with speed, turning the corner, centering it in front. Oakley was backdoor, but came up empty on the shot attempt, and the net comes off its moorings.
Great job by Princeton there, transitioning the puck into the zone. And as you said, Pierce always a dangerous player. Definitely saw something there across the other way, but just nothing on the receiving end.
Princeton still has their top unit out there. Colgate has changed up. Carly McNaughton, Mallory Johnston, Allie Adele, Marissa Dombovi out there on the kill. Princeton, though, wins the draw. Far side, McCumber. Down low, Oakley on the tip. And again, the net comes off its moorings. This time the referee doesn't see it as it's sent all the way down. Wheeler pulls it back into place, so the Tigers go back to the attack with 55 seconds to go on the 5-on-4. Laura Watt outside the ring, and now Jim McKenna sees that the net has come free, and so we'll get the stoppage.
Cute little moment there where the puck was on the other end. Brick Wheeler sees the net dislodged behind her, doesn't know quite what to do, and kind of looked the other way and moved it back into place with their other hand, as if nothing happened. But wasn't going to do anything too obvious, but interesting play there. Never quite seen something quite like that before.
Wheeler staring at the action to her left. Tigers going with their top unit on the power play for the duration. They stay out there again as Colgate has changed up for a second time. They now have Ellen Brown, Caroline back with French and Wolgemuth. Princeton pushes it forward. Wheeler falls on top of it. No harm done. So we'll just redo things. With 3:17 to go in the second, you'll hear from Tara French and Mary Kate Oakley in the second intermission.
Yeah, 5 minutes for that top unit. Princeton knows that, there's a big point right here, right before the end of the second period on the power play, but they've had a lot of success so far. Definitely want to push one home again here.
Sam Hunt is back out there. Late substitution allowed by referee Jim McKenna. Puck worked free by the Tigers, though. Once again, they had good possession on this power play. As Pierce outside the ring, playing with it down low to Oakley. Mary Kate Oakley, backdoor. All alone is McCumber, but maybe she waited too long. I think the net is off again.
Yeah, Brooke Wheeler moved into the net as she tried to make the save there. Would like to see a play actually finish here at some point. It's kind of frustrating to watch. Princeton's had a lot of creativity on this power play, and that was a great chance for sure.
Saw Wheeler kind of grinning at the referee as if to say, I don't know what to do. Every time I touch the post, it rolls back out of position. But lost in that was a good pass by Oakley, and McCumber almost took a moment to gather, and in that moment, Wheeler had shut off all avenues of attack.
Yeah, Wheeler needs to be pretty focused too here, especially don't want to give up anything by the post there. You really need that, and you can't let that get into your head.
So Hunt and Oakley on another draw. Oakley's done a fine job in the faceoff circle tonight. 26 seconds to go on this Tiger power play, and still the top fivesome stays out there, but this time Hunt wins it back to the corner. Wallace quickly rubs out French, and here's Pierce with possession, kicking it out to Laura Watt. Watt along the blue line, big drive, looking for the tip from Oakley. Went through to the back wall. French finesses it nicely off the boards and feeds Hunt short-handed. There could be a chance here for Katie Stewart. Stewart on left wing with speed, trying to protect from the angle. Floats in a backhand. Christian Young makes the save. Stewart is bowled over, but we play on. And the penalty just about over as Kira Dosdell's out of the box, and Melanie Wallace with a wrist shot in transition. Sticked aside by Wheeler. Pierce on the follow, slams on the brakes. They've got to be getting a little tired, though, as Oakley in the circle tries to put it toward goal. They've been out for over 2 minutes. Even with all the stoppages to give them a little bit of a breather, finally Pierce wearily heads to the bench. Far side, it's Ellen Brown. Brown chipped off by Salmon. Taken now by Johnston, and she'll cruise back behind the net. Mallory Johnson pausing there. The long bank pass, too far for the intended floater, Evan Minnick, and down for icing.
And now Princeton finally gets to make the full change. It was fun watching their players, one by one when they had the opportunity, slowly saunter off the ice there. You don't get to see that happen too often, but kind of like everyone they were just fighting to get off the ice in that moment.
Well, that's one of those, if you're Colgate, you can shoot that puck anywhere near the Princeton bench, you probably will get to too many men because there's no way the players coming off can go any faster. They're going to be very labored in getting off, and the players, knowing that on the bench, are going to try to steal a couple steps coming off. But no harm done. So 1:45 to go in the second period. Still 1-0 Princeton. Lone goal by Melanie Wallace as the Tigers put it deep to the Colgate end. It's fielded there by Laura Jansen. Jansen faking right wing, testing left wing. Puts it off Dostal's stick out of the zone. The touch passes to Minnick. Minnick with speed through the neutral zone. Having Minnick trying to finesse her way into the slot. Bumped down by Catherine Deneen. Played free by the Tiger defense up to Greenwood. Greenwood lost it on the poke check, but Princeton gets out of the zone. Minnick takes back a couple strides at center. They'll try it again from the Princeton end. This time it's Keedy. Keedy cruising up the right wing side. Keedy, monitored by Jansen, pulls it away from her down low to the corner. Keedy one-handing it now to Greenwood. 1 minute to go in the second period. Still 1-0 Princeton. Sam Hunt fishes it free. Hunt looking to make a play, looking at what she has available ahead of her. Banks it off the right wing boards. Taken back by Hunt. Nice moves again by Hunt at center, and now she gains the offensive blue line. Springs free for a wrist shot by Bradford, and that's sticked aside by Kristen Young as, again, Sam Hunt's mastery of the puck creates offense for Colgate, but the door stays shut. Still 1-0 Tigers. 30 seconds on the clock. Shot down low. Tantalizingly loose. Push toward Kristen Young. Big pile up in a melee in front as my partner a couple weeks ago, Tiffany Hagan, played the goal line formation by both teams in front of Kristen Young's crease, and we'll get the stoppage.
Yeah, I heard that one. Then Sam Hunt, just an absolute pleasure to watch there. It seemed like nothing was happening there. Then she kind of got the puck back off the turnover in a weird spot and was able to, just had some space, and you could see developing that she was going to be able to do something with it. Before she kind of just threw the puck away, then once you're down in the zone, she made something happen.
19 on the second period clock. Still, Princeton 1, Colgate nothing, with the Tigers 1 point behind the Raiders for the final home ice spot in the ECAC quarterfinals. 8 seconds, Tigers with one final charge. Over the line, Christine Foster. Spinning shot by Allison Rao. Kick save Wheeler, and she has to cover with 2 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, very dangerous opportunity by Ralph there. Kind of had her back to everybody. Not sure Wheeler had the best look at that, but she was able to react just in time and make a pretty difficult save right there.
Face-off will be to Wheeler's left. Jeff Campersall pulls Kristen Young for the sixth skater as Mary-Kate Oakley will try to win it forward for a shot. Actually, she looks like she's going to try to win it back. I don't know if they have time for that. And it doesn't matter anyway. It's poked free by Marissa Dombovi. And the second period ends with Melanie Wallace's power play goal still standing up. Princeton 1, Colgate nothing after 2 periods of play.
Yeah, Wheeler changing a couple words with the official there. Sure, there's a little bit of discussion about those nets before. 2 seconds left. I think a couple of the Colgate players were looking at that net a little wide-eyed, but not going to be able to get the puck from here to there in 2 seconds. But we'll see what happens in the second period.
So Princeton 1, Colgate nothing. As promised, caught up with Colgate All-Conference defenseman Tara French and Princeton All-Conference forward Mary-Kate Oakley. We'll step aside and let them take over for the next 15 minutes. You're listening, as always, to the USCHO Game of the Week. My guest is a Colgate senior defenseman and captain Tara French. And Tara, I guess the proverbial phrase is, even though it's not officially playoff time, the playoffs seem to have arrived unofficially, or in all ways except in the formal rule book. But your team seems to be rolling along nicely. You come off yet another flagship victory on senior day against the Harbor Crimson. Kind of take me inside the dressing room. What is this team really feeling about itself and about its chances heading into the postseason? We're
extremely excited for postseason. We're really looking forward to our game on Friday night. If we get 3 points this weekend, we're guaranteed home ice, which would be the first time in our program's history. And then we would already know we'd be facing Princeton. So we're just really looking forward to next weekend and the weekend after, trying to fill up the time in between.
if I rewind the clock on you, on November 24th, you drop an overtime decision to Clarkson at home. You're 4-9-1 overall. Since that time, and on the very next day, it started with a big win against St. Lawrence. Since that time, 10-4-1 on the season, including now. You're the only team in the league that's beaten all of the teams ahead of you, St. Lawrence, Dartmouth, and Harvard. What really got into this team? What was the key to turning 4-9-1 into now, a shot at home ice in the conference?
I would have to label it as like a cohesiveness. As a team, we function extremely well, and we work really hard on supporting each other at all times, both on the ice and off the ice, obviously. So we really emphasize that, and once we've got that part to fall into place, everything else just kind of fell in behind it, and we're trying to keep that up and keep it going into the postseason as much as possible.
Big part of that is obviously veteran leadership, and there are 4 captains on this team. You have added that to your plate of responsibilities this year. Tell me a little bit about how you approach the role and sort of, I guess, how the quartet of you maybe divide the responsibility of being formal leaders for this team.
We actually have a leadership group, per se. We have 4 official captains and then 6 assistant captains as well. And it rotates between home and away. So we have 2 home captains, 2 away captains, 3 home assistant captains, and 3 away assistant captains. And it's the first time our program has attempted a system like this, and it has worked out really well because each person on our team is very unique, and they bring about different strengths. Personally, I like to lead by example, and I'm not necessarily always the most vocal, but a lot of my teammates can step up and fill in that void, and from that we get a lot more overall leadership, which is hopefully helping us as we go into all of our games and come out with victories.
Let's talk a little bit about your own game. You've progressed very steadily, all rookie one year, honorable mention the next year, all conference last year, and you're back at it again with a career high in goals, and you can provide offense as well as a stalwart defense. Tell me about some of the things maybe that you focused on improving in this, your senior year.
I would definitely have to say I really wanted to work on improving the offense, and you kind of mentioned it as you went. When I came as a freshman, I worked on playing defense, and as I've progressed these past 4 years, I really wanted to work on what I do with the puck and if I can be an offensive threat. It's turned out well so far this year, so hopefully it keeps going.
You've talked about the 4-year journey, and for yourself and your classmates, it really has been a journey. Colgate, when you got there, still a relatively young program trying to find its way, and there's been a lot of firsts during your 4 years there. I know it's not quite done yet. You probably have some bigger aspirations, but has there been a moment where maybe you and your classmates sort of reflected on just how far you've come?
We haven't gotten to that point yet because we don't really consider ourselves done at the moment. We've had some great firsts this year. The first time we beat Dartmouth in November, and then just you mentioned this past weekend on senior night winning against Harvard at home was huge. And obviously we're very proud of those accomplishments, but we're not really necessarily satisfied with all that. We've got our eyes set a little higher. So.
Talking with Colgate senior defenseman Tara French. I'm going to shift gears on you a bit and go to personal background. You hail from Nova Scotia originally, so I'm sure up in Canada hockey was never too far away from you growing up, but this is a question we put to everyone that comes on the program. Take me way back. Rewind the clock. How did you first get involved in the sport?
I started out figure skating, actually. I figure skated since I was about 3. And then when I turned 7, I decided I wanted to be more like my brother who played hockey. So I made the switch that year and haven't really looked back.
For you, it's a journey that eventually led to the New England prep system at Deerfield. And we've seen, a Canadian pipeline into the preps that's been very successful. Certainly players like, Sarah Viancourt, Gina Kingsbury, some recent national team players that come to mind. Tell me about the decision to make the move to New England.
Coming from Nova Scotia is relatively small. Female hockey is starting to build a lot more now, but at the time there really wasn't many girls' teams. I had played boys hockey up until I decided to go to prep school, and I couldn't continue playing with the boys. They were getting a lot bigger, a lot stronger. I obviously didn't want to injure myself, so that was my best option at the time in terms of consistent competitive hockey.
The next step beyond that would wind up being Colgate, and as I mentioned, Colgate, a much younger program when you got there. So take me a bit through the college process. What was it about the program? What was it about the school that convinced you that that was the next step that you wanted to take?
It was a combination of all of those. In addition to 2 girls from Nova Scotia had already enrolled here. There was a girl who was a freshman when I was applying and another girl who was a sophomore, both of which I had played with on multiple occasions for different provincial teams at home. They played a big factor in my deciding to come here. And the coaching staff seemed really nice. It was a very good educational institution as well. So it all just seemed to fit.
Along the way, you sort of progressed up the ranks. It opened up opportunities in the international game. I know you've had a chance to skate with the Canadian under-22 team, have been in some of the regional camps as well. Tell me a little bit about that experience, kind of pulling on the country's jersey for the first time.
That was, for lack of a better word, awesome. It's something they take very seriously, and it very well should be. It's a great honor to get to represent your country, but it's also a great thrill to get to play with very talented players and kind of see what you can all accomplish together.
This is finally your senior season. I'm sure dreaded questions about your future are beginning to loom, so I'll be a real nice guy, and I'll toss another one in there, which is if I make you look beyond the season and beyond graduation, you obviously have the outstanding hockey career in progress. You've also taken what would seem to be the path of most resistance academically in majoring in molecular biology. So if I make you discuss some of the things that Tara French might be involved in, whether inside the game of hockey or away from the sport, what might some of those things be?
I want to continue playing for a little bit, or however long I can. And then after that, I want to go to medical school. So.
My guest is Princeton junior forward Mary Kate Oakley. Tigers in contention for the final home ice spot in the ECAC quarterfinals this weekend. They'll go head-to-head with the team just above them in the standings. And, Mary Kate, take me inside the locker room right now. You're coming off a real strong weekend. Obviously, the North Country is not an easy place to get points. You came home with 3. How does this team feel about itself heading into the final weekend of the regular season?
Right now we're feeling pretty good. Obviously, it was a big weekend. St. Lawrence and Clarkson are both two teams that we play really competitive games with every time we face them. So it was we were really, really happy to pull out 3 points. And, obviously the St. Lawrence game was huge. So just the atmosphere in the locker room after that game was just really high, and everyone was really pumped. So we're looking to take that into practice this week and hopefully carry it into this upcoming weekend as well.
Over the last 2 years, you've evolved into something of a focal point for this offense. You come in as a freshman, had 4 goals and 9 points, and you've really been a point-per-game player ever since then. What have been the keys to you making that kind of impact as you've gotten older?
I would say that, coming in as a freshman is obviously a huge transition from high school, and it's just it's a different game. It's a much faster, more physical game, and I think that after 1 year, I really did learn a lot. And one thing that I knew that I needed to work on was my skating. So that was really what I tried to focus on after the first year. And I don't know.
Well, one aspect of your game I think that anyone who's seen you play will come away remembering is your stick handling. When I've talked to Coach Campersall, he's always singled out your hands and some of the moves that you're able to put on when you have the puck. Where did that develop? Where did that come from? Who gets the credit for that?
I would say I played a lot of street hockey, so I would say that every weekend we'd be in the church parking lot just firing around a hockey ball, and that was really always my favorite part of the game. I wasn't always the best skater, so I figured I had to do something with the puck when I got it.
Talking with Princeton junior forward Mary Kate Oakley. Going to shift gears on you a bit and go to personal background. You hail from upstate New York, Buffalo to be precise. So this is a question I ask everyone who comes on the show. Rewind the clock. Way back when, how did you first get mixed up in organized hockey?
I have a brother who's actually only about 13 months younger than me, and he started playing we had an ice rink right at the corner of our street, and I'd get dragged literally to his games, and after a couple of years of that, I was just like, I want to do this. So after that, I played at CAS with the boys for a few years, and then went to Bison organization, which was an all-girls league, and I was about 10.
Is a journey that eventually led you to the Nichols School, and I bring this up because when you eventually went to Princeton, you brought somebody with you that you knew pretty well, and that would be Brittany Salmon, who's also in your class. So take me through the college process. What was it about Princeton, the school, Princeton, the hockey program that sold you, and then how much the two of you kind of had to do with each other's decision to go there?
Well, I love Britt. I grew up playing with her, so even well before Nichols, we played Biden's together for a few years. So then, I mean, the college process, we went on a couple of official visits together, and we were always looking together. But in terms of our decision, we kind of made that separate from one another. But when we both found out that Princeton was where we wanted to go, I mean, obviously that was just awesome to have someone that you just know and you're comfortable with and just go with you. And as far as, like, why Princeton, I loved my official. I love the girls. I really love Jeff as a coach. I think that, you know, he just has a way with his players. So I saw that right away. And it was just, I mean, I loved that Brittany also came with. And then Dina, who's also on the team, went to Nichols as well. So it was like the three of us.
Well, now you're in your junior year, and you still have some time to think about the future. But this is also a question I like to ask people who come on. So I'm gonna make you look past graduation. I'm gonna make you look to sort of the longer term future. Obviously, have a budding hockey career ongoing. You're a psychology major in the classroom. What are some of the things we might see Mary Kate Oakley mixed up in, whether it's within the game of hockey or away from the sport?
Oh God. Right now, I'm thinking that I want to go to law school after Princeton. So, I mean, for a while it was psychology, and I was all about that. But lately, I really think that I'd love to go into law. As far as hockey, you know, I mean, I have no idea. Obviously, I'd love to play as long as I can and maybe coach somewhere along the line. But I really don't have any definite plans for that.
So as you sort of begin to get in the mindset for law school, I know one of the realities for every Princeton student, for some it's probably a favorite experience, for some maybe not so much, is you got to go through this sort of junior paper, senior thesis type thing. What kind of ideas have you been hatching along those lines?
For what I want to write about?
Yep.
For those? Well, as a psych major, you actually have to write 4 junior papers, so I've already done 3 of them. So I've had some time to think about it. I like the clinical end of psychology a lot more. So my papers so far have been on things like exercise as a treatment for depression, and then I wrote on schizophrenia and socioeconomic status. And my next paper that's due in the spring is going to be on eating disorders in female athletes. So I'm hoping that that'll, you know, open something up for my thesis. And I'm probably going to look to write something on either a clinical end of psychology or how psychology applies to, you know, law in the decision-making process of the juries, or, you know, guilty by reason of insanity or something along those lines.
Thoughts of Tara French and Mary Kate Oakley. Brian Schultz, Dave DeReamer, USCHO Game of the Week. After 2 periods of play, Princeton with a 1-0 lead on Colgate. Each team with 15 shots on goal. Colgate had a very minute edge, 8-7 in the first. Princeton, that same 8-7 margin in the second. Now, officially for the time being, they have the Princeton goal actually marked down as Laura Watt unassisted. I'm going to stick with our initial call, which is just looking at, you could see the puck, a little bit of change of direction. You could see the way they celebrated, that Wallace did make some contact, so it should be Wallace from Watt and Pierce by the time all is said and done here. But for the time being, they at least, for the fans at home, they have it marked down as Laura Watt unassisted. Princeton 1 for 3 on the power play with 3 shots on goal. Colgate 0 for 2 in what has been a fairly clean contest. So, Dave, it comes down to this. Home ice in the quarterfinals, potentially on the table in these 20 and who knows, maybe 25 minutes of play.
Yeah, it's come down to who wants it more. I mean, you mentioned before the importance of home ice. You know, for a team like Princeton, it's a matter of, you know, holding on to this lead and making sure that, you know, this isn't your last weekend at Hobie Baker Rink here. You know, for the seniors especially, you know, you never want to play your last game on your home ice. Anything you can do to extend your hockey career on your own campus, and both teams are going to be going into this final period with that kind of intensity to make that happen.
So Sam Hunt and Mary Kate Oakley will square off in the face-off circle again. Princeton wins it. Third period is underway. Colgate will attack the end just below us in this third period. Princeton down at the far end, and it's Wallace and Oakley scrapping for it. For the Tigers, Hunt is down there for the Raiders. Dug off the wall, but not out as Watt holds the line. Hunt has it back down low. Shovels it behind the cage. And around the wall it goes, but again, the clearance is denied this time by Mary-Kate Oakley. Oakley trying to throw it toward goal. Now it was blocked by our Raider defender. Poked up right wing and out. We have a penalty. And I believe this penalty is going to go to the Princeton Tigers for high sticking. So just 37 seconds into the period. Oh, excuse me, it's actually on Colgate. It looked like Laura Watt actually had possession of that, but I guess they said Colgate had touched it. So the call actually made on the Colgate defense. And so Princeton 1 for 3 on the power play gets another chance here.
Yep, Princeton showing some momentum at the end of the second period. Seems to have carried it right into third period, the early going here.
Kate Wolgemuth, the guilty party. And Kim Pierce barreled hard into the wall by Ellen Brown. Pierce shaken up as she puts her equipment back together. It looks like she's okay now. She fields the pass and bats it up right wing. Puck pops high in the air, drops to the ice. Pierce now cutting to the left wing side, gains the offensive line, but just as quickly dispossessed and poked out. Short-handed, it's hacked the rest of the way down by a sprawling Carly McNaughton, and a quick change for Scott Wiley's Raiders on the PK as Melanie Wallace skates forward through center. Wallace on the bank to Mary-Kate Oakley. Oakley turns it off the wall and down to the zone. Tara French bottled up there by Laura Watt. And the Tigers looking to set up as Oakley puts it to the front. That's denied by the Raider defense, but not cleared. Spinning forward is Katie Stewart. Stewart to the blue line, gets help to push it out of the zone. And maybe more than that, here comes Sam Hunt. Short-handed breakaway. Hunt, wrist shot, saved by Kristen Young. Best look for Hunt tonight, and Young comes up big. Up the left wing side, back the other way is Mary-Kate Oakley. Couldn't quite catch up to the bank pass. Tara French corrals it behind her own net, wheels away from the forechecking Brittany Salmon, and cannons it out of the zone. So Stewart sets up Hunt for the shorthanded break, but Kristen Young makes her finest save, flinging out the right arm to deny Colgate's leading score. Tigers set up, 30 seconds to work with on the power play. Second unit is out there. Catherine Deneen with a drive through traffic, sails wide of the mark. Lizzie Keaty leaving it down low for Greenwood. Greenwood on the rotation now to Salmon. Sends up to the point, Hessian. Deneen head on with the goal. Another drive through traffic, and Wheeler saw that one all the way. Comes across to make the save.
Yeah, great save there by Young. You know, if Tampersall is still making his decision on who the number one goalie is, you know, that'll certainly be a moment that he'll remember. Young looks pretty psyched to have made that save, certainly in the game right now. Still holding that shutout with, you know, Colgate's best player bearing right down on you.
Princeton wins the draw. 10 seconds to go on the power play. Deneen and Hessian playing catch up top. Hessian on the swing to Salmon. Salmon down to the corner as Greenwood sends it behind the net to Keaty. Keaty trying to put it out in front. Pass batted away. Out of the box comes Kate Wolgemuth. We're back to 5-a-side. Princeton still on the offensive end as Keaty protects behind the cage, matched up with Kira Dosdell. Keaty playmaking as she walks out. Hands off to Deneen, who sweeps behind the net. Catherine Deneen centering pass. Keaty on the redirect was bothered from behind. Never got a clean shot away. Puck rolls to the corner. Partial change for the Tigers as Laura Watt joins the party. Kicked up the left wing side. Players tussling hard. And go down, but we play on as Watt just playing with it inside the blue line. Puts it to the corner one more time. Sam Hunt chasing after it in the corner. Hunt had the shorthanded break, but could not deliver. And Colgate's still down a goal to the Tigers. 1-0 here. 3.5 gone in the third. Wheeler staring at it as Dosdell fields behind her own net. Forecheck applied by Allison Ralph. Good tenacity from Ralph to poke it free. Support comes from Mallory Johnson, but now Ralph does force the turnover. Here's Sonia Novak. Novak with moves, trying to walk it to the front of the backhand. Wheeler smothers it for the moment. We'll get a quick whistle, and maybe a crease violation, or maybe the net has come off its moorings at Wheeler's end. So maybe it's not the net, Dave. Maybe it's the goaltender.
Could be. I think the evidence certainly seems to suggest that. Colgate, yeah, definitely needs to start turning these penalty kills in some momentum here. Definitely stay out of the box themselves. You know, they've done a pretty good job of the Princeton power play in these last couple opportunities.
Off the draw, Tigers control. McCumber at the point, hacks it into the corner. Trying to protect is Christine Foster. Nice diagonal pass to the outlet is Watt. Watt deposits it back to the far end with 4 minutes gone by in the third period. Princeton with good offensive possession thus far in the third period. A long drive by Watt goes high and wide. Part of it, you know, Dave, on the net side is actually the styles of the goaltenders. Wheeler, notice, stands very deep in the crease all the time. Kristen Young likes to play high on the edge. So Wheeler, by definition, is always going to be at more risk to dislodge the net. Still, the Tigers keep the rig tilted, but they haven't been able to generate much in the recent moments. And finally, Colgate chips it out of the zone. Dosdell chasing after from her defensive position. Couldn't come up with it. Ellen Brown does. Forks it over the Tiger line, but right to Christine Foster. And a very familiar scenario evolving between these two teams. Very tight game, very even game, but Princeton with a slight edge in the category that counts, 1-0 on the board. Catherine Deneen on the right wing side runs into traffic along the red line, supported by Foster. Foster puts it into the Colgate real estate, fired quickly back out on the bank. Reaching for it was Brown, came up empty. Young, though, steps away from her crease to play it, and Carly McNaughton gets the first touch on the far side. She's quickly rubbed out by Danino as it's wrapped around. Pierce locks up a stick. That was Minnick, and it's taken by Wallace for Princeton as she moves up right wing. Melanie Wallace gains the Colgate line and banks it down low. Knocked free there, but right to Kim Pierce. Pierce, 31 points in her senior season, cruises behind the net. Pierce, goal line extended, banks it out to Hessian for a drive. That was well wide. Lively Karam this time to Endicott. Endicott drops it down low to Mary-Kate Oakley. Oakley ridden off the puck there, and it's Colgate in transition, trying to spring someone through center. It was Minnick with a pass behind the intended receiver, and Princeton keeps them pinned down a little while longer. 14:20 on the third period clock. Still Tigers 1 and Raiders nothing. Banked out to center ice. Nice bank pass this time to Hunt, one-on-one. Hunt trying to go past McCumber, centered it in front, had a trailer. It was Bradford. Bradford, though, couldn't get to shooting position. Ranford in the corner, trades places with Hunt. Bradford trying to center. That hit off Laura Watt's skates and went out of the zone. Had to get it Dosdell. Dosdell, front of her own net. Up now to Bradford. Sticks get together. The puck goes high in the air into the sparse crowd here at Hobey Baker Rink.
Yeah, going to back to that first Princeton power play before, I think you saw a little bit of Kim Pierce's toughness, where she went hard into the board with the right knee. Seemed to be shaken up for a little bit, but then got right back up there. Knew her team needed her on the power play. Was able to keep going, though. When the puck got thrown back to her, Sam Hunt was able to beat her, and that pretty much led to that breakaway that we saw. The best opportunity of the period so far.
13.5 to go in the third period. USCHO Game of the Week. Reminder, we have one more regular season contest tomorrow. Rematch of last year's ECAC title game, Brown and Harvard, 4 p.m. Nicole Corriero will drop by, one of our regulars, as the Raiders move through center and push it over the Princeton line, back the other way just as quickly. So thus far, in a contrast, Colgate got out of the gates quickly. They did a nice job of controlling play, getting scoring opportunities. The third period, Princeton is getting the dose of their own medicine. They're keeping the action mostly in the far half, their offensive half, aside from the period's best chance, which was that Sam Hunt shorthanded break that Kristen Young stopped. Our side, it's Danino. Stephanie Danino out of Montreal. Left wing gains the Colgate line, leaves it for Julie Flynn. Flynn toward net. That went through a thicket of legs and skates wide. Catherine Deneen holds it along the near point, shovels it behind the net. Foster trying to get the stick free. Protects her. She's bottled up in the corner by, looks like, Mallory Johnston. McNaughton there as well for the Raiders. Foster, though, staying with it. Very patient are the Tigers along the walls and in the one-on-ones, but a nice dig free, and maybe a 2-on-1 for Colgate if they hurry. Here comes McNaughton for the wrist shot, and Deneen got a leg in the way in the nick of time to send it wide. Off the left wing side, it's Foster. Foster trying to find some headway on the breakout, quickly closed down by Carly McNaughton. So Princeton reverses their field, and it's Allison Ralph. Ralph, though, feeling heat from Ellen Brown. Puck's wrist free. Christine Foster again over skates. It's still in the Tiger defensive zone. Finally poked forward by Ralph. Tara French on the quick turnabout has Sam Hunt available. Here's Minnick into the slot, leaving it for Hunt. Hunt with a big drive that missed the near post. The follow-up comes from Bradford. Her wrist shot knocked down by the blocker of Kristen Young. And Colgate showing some signs offensively here as it's poked into the corner, and Deneen will give chase along with Hunt. Tigers gladly take the clear, and it goes all the way down on Brooke Wheeler, who guides it aside to Kate Wolgemuth. Kim Pierce out there to forecheck as the teams match top lines. The bank pass goes to Hunt along the red line. Hunt trying to make a play for Stewart, does get it to her, and Bradford puts it deep. Hunt will give chase on the forecheck, cutting into the corner against Kate Hessian. Work behind the net through the stick of Endicott. Far side Melanie Wallace, right back to Endicott. Here's Maddie Endicott stepping through the first level of forecheckers to spring Mary-Kate Oakley. Maybe a 3-on-2 if they hurry for the Tigers. Oakley, though, dispossessed in the high slot as it's taken by Johnston and wound around to the far side. Reaching for it, Ellen Brown. A couple players go down just outside the blue line. Lobbed on ahead by Johnston, trying to hit Brown through center. Fielded, though, by Hessian. She scales it high off the glass. 10:40 to go in the third period. Still, Princeton 1 and Colgate nothing. Colgate coming in 13-6-1 in the conference. They are in the 4th position, the final home ice position. Tigers just 1 point behind as the puck fired out of play by the Tiger defense, and will keep the draw back by Kristen Young.
Yeah, going back to that last flurry of shots by Colgate a few minutes ago, a great play by Catherine Deneen there by Princeton, the ECAC All-Rookie selection at defense last year. Had a couple of 2-on-1 situations she had to defend against there and handled both very well. First time managed to take away the shot. Then even closing out the whole play by clearing the zone and putting it right on net to avoid icing too.
Liz Keaty through center. Keaty with speed. Keaty with a wrist shot from the high slot, quickly blocked and turned out of the zone. Waiting in a defensive posture was Laura Watt to seal it along the red line, but now she has it dispossessed and poked away. And the foot race is on. It's Rotenberg against Novak. Rotenberg gets a forehand to it, puts it behind the Tiger net. Watt leaves for Keaty. Keaty runs into trouble as Colgate very aggressive. A two-man forecheck. Tigers clear the zone. Watt stepping through center. Watt gains the line, knifes to the left wing side. The drop pass to McCumber. Has the stick cocked, does not shoot. Instead lobs it down low, where it's quickly centered in front and taken by Bradford. Through center, Ashley Bradford in the high slot. Arissa toward Kristen Young, who makes the easy catch, and she'll hold on for the draw as the Sam Hunt line comes over the boards. And we'll get the draw down in Princeton Real Estate, 9.5 on the clock.
Yeah, Colgate, I think, has fed off a little bit of momentum from those opportunities a few minutes ago. They definitely picked up their intensity. They know it's at stake, and Princeton, on the defensive end, needs to match that.
Tigers win the draw cleanly, courtesy of Christine Foster. Deneen leaves for Danino in the corner. Stewart over to harass. Puck bounced high off the boards into neutral ice, and here's Annie Greenwood. Greenwood through center. Poke check is applied along the blue line by Dosdell. Here's Deneen, back to the attack. Deneen is tripped up. There's going to be a penalty, and as Wheeler covers up, the flight of Catherine Deneen draws a tripping minor on the Colgate Raiders. That will not help the cause, and Princeton back to the power play where they're 1 for 4 tonight.
Yeah, I was sitting at Deneen's play before on the defensive end. Now she makes things happen on the offensive end too. Just going around through 2 or 3 Colgate players and finally drawing the penalty, which if it hadn't been taken, she would have had a pretty clear shot on Wheeler.
So the faceoff will be to Wheeler's left, and it looks like Allie Adele is the guilty party. Mary-Kate Oakley wins the draw cleanly to McCumber on the swing to Pierce. One-touch Watt with a drive. Pad saved by Wheeler. Lively rebound. Pops high in the air and drops in the corner. And I believe the call is going to be made for a hand pass on Mary-Kate Oakley. So we get the whistle.
Yeah, interesting listening to Mary-Kate Oakley during the intermission. I wonder in the 3-year history of these women's hockey interviews, how many players haven't had older brothers that were their inspirations? I keep trying to hear the one who, maybe a couple years from now those things are changed. Obviously there weren't a whole many role models, back when these girls were younger, but it'd be interesting to see how that might change over time.
Well, the 2 that I remember, one is Jennifer Raimondi, who played at Harvard, and she made it a point to say that she had never played with and against guys and played with girls her entire life. So that was the first time I had heard that, as Oakley carries over the line on the power play and loses the puck in the slot. It's taken by Sam Hunt, who has plenty of time to thread it out of the zone. Colgate looking for shorthanded offense down here in the third. So Brown applies pressure, takes Watt to the ice. McCumber comes back to help out. And McCumber up the left wing side. Gains the line and leaves for Pierce. Pierce has Oakley with her. Pierce with a drive. Wallace trying to tip it, and it went wide. Left off the wall. Watt on the swing. Wrist shot through traffic by Kim Pierce. That did not go through. Tigers with a partial change. Here's Oakley trying to stick handle by. She's bumped down hard into the ice. Gets back up and crashes into Kira Dosdell behind the net. 40 seconds to go on the Tiger power play. Under 8 to go in the third. Still 1-0 Princeton as it's bounced out of the zone. On the swing far side of Pierce. Pierce wheeling back to her own end. Leaves now for Hessian. Hessian back to Deneen. Deneen up, looking for Greenwood, who finds it in traffic. Greenwood has Keedy driving the front. In front for the deflection. On the backside was Salmon, and she put it just wide. Kicked back out to Deneen. Swung now to Hessian. Hessian has a stick cock. Somehow got that shot through a defender in her face, but it went wide anyway. Final ticks of the power play. Catherine Deneen. That one goes wide of the near post. The rebound right to Brittany Salmon. Right back out to Hessian. Again, the swing to Deneen. Deneen this time does not shoot. The one-timer comes from Keedy. That's off the mark. Out of the box is Adele. We're back to 5 aside. Centering pass by the Tigers. Adele into the play. Breaks that up. And here's Dosdell looking to play make forward. Dosdell, a good stick-handling defenseman, pokes it out of the zone. Not much further as Greenwood applies pressure against Mallory Johnston with 7 showing on the clock. Greenwood forces the turnover. Greenwood in front for Salmon. The follow comes from Keedy. That one's blocked. Greeny picks it up in the circle. Annie Greenwood with moves in traffic. Dispossessed, poked away. Here comes Colgate up left wing. Gaining the red line and poking it over the zone. Sending it deep is Beth Rotenberg, Caroline also in the forecheck as Greenwood fires it off the wall. Keedy forces it out of the zone. Well, we're going to have to take some chances here. We got a penalty for holding in the neutral zone. And this one is going to go the way of the Tigers. Keedy will be the guilty party. So, Dave, a big opportunity here for Colgate. They're only 0 for 2 on the extra man tonight. But this will be their chance. Down 1-0 with 6.5 to go in the third.
Yeah, with 6.5 left to go. You're not going to get too many chances much better than this. Colgate didn't seem to gain too much momentum on its last couple of power plays. But we'll see what they can do here.
In reference to your previous point, there was one other player who I'm trying to remember. There was one other player who I interviewed who had 3 brothers, but none of them played hockey. She was from Minnesota. I'm trying to remember who it was. But she played hockey and her mom played hockey, but none of the brothers did. That was the only other one that I can think of.
Wow.
Near side it comes for the Raiders. They'll get it deep to the zone. Young out of her crease to play it aside to Hessian. Pressure comes from Stewart. Colgate trying to hold the line. They do. Big drive by Hunt. Blocker saved by Young. Ricochet to the near side wall. Penalty going to come up here. Penalty is going to be on who? It looked like Princeton was playing the puck, so I would think that was going to be on Tara French. And Sam Hunt was hacking the stick on the ice in frustration, so French is going to get hit with a 2-minute minor, and so that will cancel out the Colgate power play.
Yeah, I think the refs confused themselves a little bit there. Didn't realize quite who was playing the puck on the boards. Yeah, also interesting listening to the interview with Tara French. I don't know how a microbiology major gets too much time in lab, especially with such a long hockey season, but kudos for her for pulling that off.
Well, Scott Wiley, when I talked to him this week, said she's one of the most organized people he's been around. And I think you have to be if you intend to be pre-med and intend to be a doctor someday and play hockey at the same time. Shot and a crease violation on Oakley. And incidentally, I was joking with Tara French. Now, every week I send out the request for interviews on the first day of the week. I think Tara French is either the first or second player who ever called back the very first day they could. Usually the players wait till mid or late week. She wanted to call right away, so shows you she definitely has her schedule together.
One little box to check off on the to-do list that week. So.
Exactly. 4-on-4 play here for 1 minute and 2 seconds. 5.5 to go in the third period. Princeton with a 1-0 lead, and the big call was against French for tripping most recently. That canceled out a Colgate power play. So we skate 4 aside, and Princeton is going to have about 30 seconds of man advantage time to work with. Here comes Oakley, though, trying to get behind the defense. Wrist shot. She did not get much on that, but the call is going to be made for hooking from behind, and we'll get that power play for the Tigers a little sooner as Dosdell heads off. So 2 of Colgate's top defensemen, Dosdell and French, both in the box. 4-on-3 power play for Princeton.
Yeah, great play by Oakley, making things happen there. Even though she can't put the puck in net, puts another player in the box, and time's ticking for Colgate here. Down to only 3 minutes and 14 seconds of even strength hockey left for them.
So the face-off will be to Wheeler's left, and Oakley will take it, the unconventional 4-on-3 power play. As Watt controls at the point, Oakley heads to the front. Pierce is available on the far side. She takes the one-timer. That was blocked nicely and cleared by the Raider defender. I believe that was Wolgamuth. Wolgamuth trying to pressure forward shorthanded as Pierce totes it up the right wing side. Kim Pierce in the circle. Pierce with a drive. Stick save Wheeler, and she calmly gloves it out of the air.
Yep. Another impressive rush by Pierce there on the power play. Pierce is Kazmar Final 10 from last year. announcements were supposed to be today, but see what happens there. But yeah, Tim Pierce probably not going to be among the final 10 this year, but we'll see what happens. But amazing how the game, so much talent there's been. We'll get back to the game.
Power play for the Tigers. Umbrella formation this time as Watt blasts away. Down low, wrapped free by the Raider PK. Keedy is just about out of the box, so it's going to be a 5-on-3 for 30 seconds, and the Tigers have possession. Watt just inside the blue line. On the swing to Pierce. Plenty of room. She steps in for the wrist shot. Not sure about that one. There was nobody in front, and Wheeler makes the easy stop. And getting back to your point, that is the testament to the game. It's that, 5 and 6 years ago, it was the players like Pierce and Sam Hunt that you did not have around. Those are the players spread throughout the league who may not win all-league, who may not be all-American, but who are difference makers every time they're on the ice.
Right. The other point I was trying to make is that, last year he had 7 underclassmen among the 10 Kazmaier finalists. I don't think more than 2 or 3 of them are going to make the final 10 again this year. Just shows...
Watt with a drive, rebound quickly clear. Well, it also shows
some of that's the Olympians coming back for sure, but that's not as huge effect as, probably only half of them are Olympians, let's say, of the people who are going to take those spots.
Down low, Oakley trying to spin with it in the circle. 5-on-3 just about over as Pierce has a teed. Oakley in front from the angle, wrist shot, and Wheeler's got it again. So Princeton almost didn't look quite as cohesive 5-on-3 as they have 5-on-4. Now they'll change up as French is back into the play.
Yeah, maybe putting a little bit too much pressure on themselves in that situation. Now if they can just really bear down, they can really put this game away here on these next 39 seconds.
Well, the other subplot to your point about underclassmen and Kazmaier nominees, a lot of these teams, top teams out there with the 2 nominee limit, the coaches have some very difficult choices to make even before this whole process gets going.
Sure, and sure there's all sorts of, inner tensions they have, and I don't know how they make the decision sometimes.
Keedy down low. Another penalty's coming up, but I think this one's going to go to Princeton. There's a penalty in front, and the call is going to be made for tripping, so we had no penalties for a very long period of time, and now Jim McKenna in the final 5 minutes is plying the whistle very liberally here, so right after Princeton squandered a 5-on-3, the tail end of their 5-on-4 is gone. Salmon's in the box, and now Colgate maybe will get the power play or the rest of the power play that they lost before.
Yeah, absolutely huge opportunity for Colgate here. I'm not sure quite what led to the development of that play, but take every opportunity you can to draw a penalty in that situation.
Hessian off the draw slaps it deep. So 4-on-4 for 15 seconds, 3.5 to go in the third period. Tigers trying to walk it to the front. That's Foster. Goose tree, and we're just about set for the power play. Caroline is loose at center, pokes it on the left wing side. Over the line comes Carly McNaughton. McNaughton, a captain for this Raider squad. Leaves it in the corner for Lean. Lean protecting against Deneen. We are 5-on-4 now for 1:25 with 3 on the clock, and still Princeton up by a single goal, 1-0. Good work by Deneen, again digging it free to Allison Ralph. Ralph pokes it into the zone for the Tigers shorthand as Mallory Johnson scoops it up for the Raiders and pulls up behind her net. Sam Hunt is out there, and the 5-9 target makes herself available on the breakout. Here she comes. Hunt carrying through center, accelerating to attack speed as she hits the Tiger line, and ooh, that was close. It looked like the skate was being dragged nicely on the far side, and Tara French kind of leaves it there for a little extra demonstration, but did not get the call.
Yep, no luck there for Colgate. Yep, we saw Carly McNaughton with the puck earlier today. A very exciting, amazing story written by her from the Colgate feature site a few weeks ago. Everyone should definitely take a look at that if they get a chance.
Kim Pierce, bad break, fires it into the penalty box area, and we'll get the stoppage. Faceoff will move just inside that Tiger blue line, so 59 seconds on the Salmon Minor, 2.5 to go in the third. Colgate down 1-0, trying to come through on the power play, but the Tigers win a critical draw, and Kim Pierce lobs it all the way down. Tara French skates back to pick up, pulls up behind her own net for one moment, and then carries forward. Through center come the Raiders. Over the line, trying to walk it to the front is Mallory Johnston, lost on the poke check. Pierce again, hard off the wall and out of the zone. French back to get it, settles down the bouncing puck. Feeds Sam Hunt up the right wing side, and here comes the leading scorer for the Raiders. Hunt trying to drag it through McCumber, and the senior defenseman, too wily for that, comes up with a poke check, clears it all the way down again. Colgate chance for one final rush. Final 2 minutes of play. When will Scott Wiley look to get Brooke Wheeler to the bench for the extra skater? Thus far, there's only one goal on the board. Officially, they've given it to Laura Watt, but we're pretty sure it's going to wind up being Melanie Wallace when all is said and done. Sam Hunt over the line, back to 5 aside. Salmon out of the box, gets her first touch, clears the zone in doing so, and carries on left wing into the zone. Salmon, face-off circle, wrist shot up high. Shoulder save by Wheeler. 1:25 showing on the clock. Princeton still with a 1-0 lead. Keedy holds the line for a little while longer. That'll keep Wheeler between the pipes. Colgate digs it out of the zone. Deneen, though, sidestepping at center ice, deals it over to Kate Hessian. Hessian down deep to the Colgate end. Wheeler will have to play it behind her net as we come up on the final minute of regulation in the final weekend of the regular season. Princeton trying to catch Colgate for that final home ice spot in the ECAC quarterfinals. Along the red line. Raiders can't get it deep. Wheeler is still between the pipes. At center ice, it's Foster with 45 on the clock. She'll drop it in behind the Colgate netminder. Kira Dosdo back to pick up. Left wing to French. French off the wall to center ice. Intercepted there by McCumber. Wheeler is still trapped in the nets, and Colgate cannot get it to the offensive half. French back behind her own net with 28 seconds to go in the third period. Clearing attempt, foiled for the moment. Now Colgate is out of the zone. Wheeler is headed to the bench. Ellen Brown couldn't get loose, and the puck is forced back out. Along the red line, Pierce scrapping for it, 15 to go. Poked over the line by Ellen Brown. Nicole McDonald reaching for it. Colgate is trapped off sides. There's only 5 seconds on the clock. It's put into space to McCumber. McCumber puts it into the air to center, and that's going to do it. The one power play goal way back in the first period is going to stand up and be the difference as Princeton takes a 1-0 decision. And at the horn, Mary Kate Oakley was decked from behind, and she remains down on the ice. Certainly hope the junior out of Buffalo is okay, but she took a shot along the wall from behind as the horn sounded and remains down on the ice.
I couldn't see who made that play, but that was totally vicious and totally uncalled for. And she hasn't moved yet.
And there were some teammates who immediately came over. The linesman quickly in to separate and prevent hostilities from developing. But Mary Kate Oakley, before these teams can shake hands, we have to sort out what has happened to Princeton's second leading scorer. You know, the game was over. She was just stick handling with the puck by the wall, and all of a sudden got hit from behind, full force, and lies on the ice. Now, to the credit of the Colgate defender, immediately kind of reached down and checked her to sort of let her know, make sure she was okay. But some heavy contact there, and Princeton's second leading scorer, the junior Mary Kate Oakley, is down by the wall as these teams now will exchange handshakes.
Yeah, did see some motion in her legs beforehand, so good to see that at least.
So a very hushed ending to what should have been a jubilant atmosphere for the home team. Princeton coming up with a big win on home ice, 1-0, and they have now taken over the 4th spot in the ACAC Hockey League. And if they win tomorrow against Cornell, then they will be in position to, actually, if they tie Cornell tomorrow, they'll probably hold on to home ice as well. Am I correct?
Correct.
So winner or tie against Cornell tomorrow, and they will secure the 4th spot in the ECAC Hockey League for the first round of the playoffs. But again, we keep our attention down at the end of the ice as Mary Kate Oakley is still being attended to by the training staff and the coaching staff. Let's take a break and then come back and recap the action here. And Dave will try to pick out some stars of the game, and then we'll clear on out of here on the USCHO Game of the Week. Final score, Princeton wins it by a count of 1-0. We'll be back in just a moment. The USCHO Game of the Week is the first ever national internet broadcast for women's college hockey. It is also individually funded. That's why the Game of the Week needs your support to maintain and expand its coverage. For more information on how to contribute, please call 212-933-0652 or send an email to uschobroadcast@yahoo.com. That's 212-933-0652 or uschobroadcast@yahoo.com. welcome back to Hobie Baker Rink. Brian Schultz, David DeReamer on hand in a very odd and unfortunate situation for everyone in attendance. Princeton beating Colgate by a count of 1-0 on a first period power play goal that unofficially went to Melanie Wallace, officially still Laura Watt. But the bigger story is that Mary-Kate Oakley is still down on the ice, has not even made any attempt to sit up. To recap, at the end when Princeton finished out their 1-0 victory, Oakley was the last player to touch the puck. She was by the boards in the offensive zone and was hit from behind by an opposing player and went face down to the ice and has not moved at all really since then, and is still being attended to by the training staff and head coach Jeff Campersall. And certainly we hope for the best for the junior forward out of Buffalo, but things right now looking perhaps more serious than initially feared.
Yeah. Hopefully they're just taking absolute every precaution available here. I mean, there's no need to rush in a situation like this.
Trainer was out there quickly. Jeff Campersall kneeling beside her, and they're bringing out a blanket to kind of cover up her lower half. So we do see the trainer trying to move her left leg. And again, we're not in a position to speculate, but certainly just have to hope for the best. It was not a good way for a competitive contest to end. These two teams tussled and tangled hard, but mostly played some very good, clean, hard-nosed hockey for 60 minutes, and then a very borderline shot, to say the least, with the horn having already sounded, might result in unfortunately, the most impactful moment of the night, as Mary-Kate Oakley remains down on the ice and is attended to. You heard from her in the second intermission. Certainly a bright future on the ice and off the ice for the junior out of Buffalo. And right now, just a question of how healthy she is. But Dave, I think let's focus back on what we have to focus on. We'll keep the people abreast of the situation in the next couple minutes, which is Princeton gets the 1-0 win. They take over fourth place in the conference. Win or a tie tomorrow. They will be at home next weekend for the first round, most likely against this very same Colgate team. So here's a question for you. If these teams have to play again with their seasons on the line next week, does something like that have any carryover effect, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, certainly they'll remember it, and hopefully they'll be mature enough so that they don't. I mean, nothing bad happens on the other end. And I think Princeton will just try to do it their way and take all their emotions out on the ice if there is any serious lingering injury to Mary-Kate Oakley here. They look great at the end of the final minutes, by the way. We should emphasize that Princeton. Colgate certainly was frustrated that Princeton, really shut them down during those last 3 minutes. They, didn't make for, the exciting, come from behind finish, some people might have wanted, but, Princeton was just very composed and just did everything right and smart on their defensive end, preserving the shutout during those final 3 minutes.
It was vintage Tiger hockey at the defensive end. That was reminiscent of the Tiger team we saw last year that put so many teams on lockdown whenever they had a lead, be it 1 or 2 goals. And really Colgate, even facing a desperate situation, other than the Sam Hunt shorthanded breakaway early in the period, they generated precious little offense against Kristen Young. And Princeton suffocated them to get the 1-0 victory. Try to go through and pick out some stars of the game. There were definitely some players who stepped forth, and in a game where there was only 1 goal, it may not have been players who could show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, 4 players I have in mind. Let's see. Catherine Deneen, give a 3rd star to sophomore defenseman for Princeton. Made a couple of good defensive plays down the stretch and helped draw a penalty on the other end. Sam Hunt did a 2nd star too. Just made things happen all over the ice for Colgate, and certainly was certainly just demonstrated herself to be one of those exciting players in the game. We'll share the top star to Laura Watt and Melanie Wallace, who Watt was helped set up that first goal, and then certainly a force in the power play throughout the game, and definitely made things happen in the Princeton end. And then it's hard for a 1-0 game not to give a star to the person who likely put the puck in that, Melanie Wallace, who keeps her role going from goal and assist each of the games in Princeton's win this past week, last weekend, and maintaining that momentum into tonight.
So Princeton improves to 15-10-3 on the season, 13-6-2 in the conference. They now have 28 conference points. Colgate drops to an even 14-14-2, 13-7-1, 27 conference points. So if Princeton, having swept the season series, can get a win or a tie against Cornell tomorrow at home, they will be in the 4th position. And if Colgate can defeat Quinnipiac, they will be right back here next Friday night. And it looks like the stretcher has come out for Mary-Kate Oakley. We're trying to give you as much information as we can. Obviously, we don't know for sure, other than to say that she took that hit from behind, stays down by the board. She's covered up by a blanket, so they're trying to keep her warm. And the stretcher has come out to try to help get her off the ice, and hopefully that is just a precautionary measure. But certainly some very concerned people in attendance, and certainly if her family happens to be listening, we certainly hope for the best, and hope that she can certainly continue and get her shot at exacting some vengeance against Colgate next week on the ice. But that is certainly the furthest thing from relevance right now, as the officiating crew, the coaching staff, and the training staff all out there attending to Princeton star junior forward Mary-Kate Oakley in the aftermath of a 1-0 Princeton win that, as Dave alluded to, had a number of players who certainly distinguished themselves on this Friday night on the USCHO game of the week. Any closing comments?
Yeah, not too many people have left here, and it's really sad to see this. They're about to, she fell down face down, so they're about to flip her over onto the board, and hope for the best.
So a very unfortunate and really unprecedented moment. We've never actually had, that's one of the great things. Hockey is a violent sport at times. We've never had really a serious injury. We've had some minor ones. We've had some ankle sprains. We've never had any serious injuries in the 3 years we've been doing games. It's the first time we've had a player who has been down for this kind of extended period of time and necessitated the stretcher coming out. So hopefully, as Dave alluded to, it's just medical personnel taking all the precautions, and that there is no real jeopardy here for Mary-Kate Oakley. But for the time being, it is Princeton with the 1-0 win, and they have the inside track for home ice in the ECAC quarterfinals. We have another game to take care of tomorrow. It will be at 4 p.m. Eastern, Brown and Harvard up at Bright Hockey Center. Nicole Corriero will stop by for that one, and then after that, we'll just kind of take measure of the playoff scenarios and figure out where we're going to be next weekend. But, Dave, there is a chance we'll be back here for the rematch between Colgate and Princeton. And certainly right now, the number one thing is just to hope that Mary-Kate Oakley can participate in that series, whether or not we're down here.
Yep, absolutely. Hockey's, a fast and dangerous sport, but, it's a shame that something like that had to happen, pretty much when the game was already over.
So Princeton wins 1-0. People we have to thank before heading off the air. First and foremost, all in broadcasting. Great job of production from start to finish. Also want to thank Christy McNeil and Yariv Amir, sports information contacts for Colgate and Princeton, respectively. Want to thank Scott Wiley, Jeff Campersall, Tara French, and especially Mary-Kate Oakley now for their time in interviews. And I want to thank David DeReamer of U.S. College Hockey Online for coming down and working the game with me. And again, the final message of the night, a very unfortunate incident after the horn mars what was otherwise a compelling contest. Mary-Kate Oakley still on the ice, being helped onto a stretcher to be helped off the ice, and certainly our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family. Brian Schultz signing off for the USCHO Game of the Week. Princeton wins it by a count of 1-0. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon, and we'll try to have updates as best we can on Mary-Kate Oakley's status as we move along. Have a good night, everybody.